Chapter 1536, Turning Hostile. Chapter 1536, Turning Hostile. Get into its soul. Shi Yang's ear-piercing scream hit this bright world. The space sounded like it was cracking. It seemed like the wall between earth and heaven exploded and created a crack. Holding the chain made of Skyfall Star River, Shi Yang's ferocious, giant body was like a beast in its human form. His entire body was covered in rigid, scaly armor and his eyes were red. The ocean that had shrouded several stars here couldn't conceal his brutal, bloodthirsty aura. A vivid red blood column shot out from his head and broke the sea. A group of warriors at First Sky of Territory Ancestor Realm including Neptune, Keith, Xiao Lai, and Jionai was hiding by a broken asteroid near that immense ocean. They were afraid that Yuan could find them if the water touched them. Suddenly, a blood column shot up into the sky and sent the word-destroying aura everywhere. All the warriors in the territory were dumbstruck. Labit discolored and screamed, "Blood Soul Sea of the Death Power Upanishad. What about it?" Jionai's voice was cold. The Blood Soul Sea can subdue souls. It gathers negative energies and makes the souls of the creatures sink into bloodthirsty, crazy desires. That blood column is the pure, condensed Blood Soul Sea. It's really extreme. Normal people will have their minds distorted and sink into an endless nightmare of killing until they don't have a bit of energy left in them. Labit knew the formidable supernatural abilities of the Death Power Upanishad. He added with a heavy voice, "Also, the moment you are sober is when you die. The negative energy from the Blood Soul Sea has already entered your soul altar and cut off your vitality at that point. Your soul will perish like that." "Is that Shi Yang?" Jionai looked interested, her eyes bright. "I heard from Judy that he's a new prominent face in the sea domain of nihility recently. He's from some territory outside. Is he really fierce?" As she was late, she didn't see Shi Yang fight and kill Feral. She hadn't seen his brutality. Thus, her understanding of Shi Yang was limited to Judy's description. However, she thought that Judy had exaggerated Shi Yang's intimidation. She didn't think that a kid's name could spread out in one night by suppressing a famous expert of the sea domain of nihility. After that, Jionai found Neptune, Keith, and Labit darken their faces. She was more curious. "You will see how bold he is." Labit sighed bitterly but explained nothing. Jionai smiled, her beautiful face surprised. "Oh, I do want to see how a kid gives you three a headache. He seems interesting. I hope he won't fail me." Her exposed skin had so many mysterious patterns, which could change magically according to her moods. "Get in." Deep in the immense ocean where the bright halo shone, Shi Yang used the stars to weave a chain to tie down Hui's main head. His eyes were red as he roared. His red eyes looked so terrifying as the negative moods arose in his entire body and accumulated in his eyes. He gazed at Hui's spooky green eyes. The endless negative energies that naked eyes couldn't see gushed towards Hui. He was using his distinct method to suppress Hui's soul and help Yuan resist against Hui. He understood better than anybody that only when Zi Yarrow replaced Hui's soul consciousness to take its body and power did Zi Yarrow have a chance to survive. Otherwise, wherever Zi Yarrow hid, even if she was in an extremely remote territory, Hui could still capture her or erase her soul within 1 second. Even if he killed Hui, he couldn't change that result because Zi Yarrow was a part of Hui. If Hui died, Zi Yarrow would perish. Her life sea would vanish altogether. It wasn't different from Desolate and the other creatures in Desolate territory. If Desolate died utterly, all the creatures in Desolate territory including Xia Xinyang, Yang Tian Emperor, Audrey, Ming Hao, and Xian he would die altogether. Their lives were given by Desolate with Desolate's soul imprint. If Desolate died, none of them could escape a sudden death. The only way was to bite back at Desolate and use his co-soul to refine Desolate. Shi Yang had to replace Desolate to untie this deadly consequences. He's right. It's your only chance. If you miss it, you will never have another chance to try. Seeing Zi Yarrow in a daze when she saw Shi Yang's absolute beginning body, Forefather Dragon Lizard reminded her as he hadn't left yet. He looked at Zi Yarrow and said, "Both Yuan and Shi Yang are consuming a lot of energy because of you. They are facing a fatal danger. The more you hesitate, the more dangers Shi Yang will have to face. He hit it. If I hesitate, Shi Yang will face more dangers. Zi Yarrow discolored. She became extremely restless. Forefather Dragon Lizard was moved. He said immediately, "Yeah, it's true. Your hesitation will make Shi Yang lose a lot of energy." He knew that Shi Yang could risk his life for hers and she would do the same for him. She finally got over her rooted fear of Hui. "I got it." Zi Yarrow's eyes became resolute. She sat cross-legged on the throne and closed her eyes. Her soul and Hui had a magical connection. She could use it to enter Hui's head without leaving her own body. Feeling her soul energy subside, Forefather Dragon Lizard knew that she has taken action. She had entered Hui's head. For Shi Yang, she had ignored the fear in her soul and sank into that endless nightmare to engage in the most dangerous fight against Hui's soul. "She's taking action," screamed Forefather Dragon Lizard. Shi Yang in his giant body shook hard when he heard Forefather Dragon Lizard scream. Fist-sized stars emerged from his body. Tens of thousands of those stars were created by the god power in his acupuncture points. The stars emitted an aura that could purify souls and bodies. They finally illuminated this dark sky. Boom, boom, boom. Tens of thousands of bright stars bloomed on the star chain. The starlight fell like a waterfall and hit Hui's main head. The star chain was like shackles that tied Hui's main head. At the same time, the blood column on Shi Yang's head shrank, gathered with the red halos in his eyes and shot towards Hui's eyes. His engagement had reduced Yuan's pressure. Previously, he couldn't even create a human form. When Shi Yang had used his absolute beginning body to risk his life with Hui, Yuan Zhu reappeared by Yuan's head. Yuan Zhu smiled happily and screamed at Shi Yang. "Use the power Upanishad symbol tower to subdue it. Place it on Hui's main head. When you use the energy of the power Upanishad symbol tower, you can tie down its soul. Your woman can easily refine it then. Trust me. Use you power Upanishad symbol tower to subdue it now." As Shi Yang was using the star chains to confine Hui's head, he didn't hesitate to release the power Upanishad symbol tower when he heard Yuan Zhu. As soon as the power Upanishad symbol tower was released, it became a formidable hundreds of level tower that hovered above the snake head. Slowly moving, countless symbols on the tower wiggled and released a holy aura that could purify the world. Layers of light energy fell on Hui's main head. As the snake was struggling hard to get rid of the star shackle, it became weaker when the lights shrouded it. Hui's soul seemed to be subdued too. It didn't wiggle a lot anymore. Yuan's pressure was reduced greatly. Yuan Zhu's vague body finally materialized. "Yeah, that's it. Use the power Upanishad symbol tower to subdue it. It won't be able to escape. Your woman will have the chance to absorb its soul. Let her replace it and take everything from it." Yuan Zhu smiled tenderly as he exhaled in relief. His body flashed and Yuan Zhu came to Forefather Dragon Lizard, smiling at him. "Well, you shouldn't stay here. You should have listened to him and left earlier." Forefather Dragon Lizard was dumbstruck. "What do you mean? It's really dangerous if you stay." While Yuan Zhu was talking, the energy in his body churned. Since Shi Yang was using his energy massively and even the power Upanishad symbol tower to deal with Hui, Yuan Zhu had extra energy to use now. What danger? Forefather Dragon Lizard was bewildered. "You guys have subdued Hui. As long as its soul is taken, it won't be a threat anymore. You're in danger because of me. Ha." Yuan Zhu's smiling face turned sinisterly strange. His aura suddenly turned dry and smelled like lava. "Ancestor. My ancestor's smell." Forefather Dragon Lizard screamed in fear and bewilderment. "Yeah. I ate your ancestor lizard. Let me take you to meet him." Yuan Zhu was still smiling tenderly, but in Forefather Dragon Lizard's eyes, he was extremely ominous. Chapter 1537, Flawless Calculation. Chapter 1537, Flawless Calculation. The sudden incident turned the situation worse. Shi Yang was shaken directly. He had almost failed to maintain his power. He exhaled to calm down and suppress Hui's soul. At the critical moment, Yuan had used the black water from his soul to subdue Hui. However, at this moment, Shi Yang didn't trust Yuan even a bit. He considered the old man an enemy tougher than Hui. His body and soul were extremely tense. Yuan had concealed his sinister conspiracy from the beginning. His mercy in front of Hui, his tender and warm smile, all were fake. His flawless calculation was made to create this current situation. He made Shi Yang consume his energy greatly and use both the SS and the Power Upanishad symbol tower to join hands with him to subdue Hui. He had instigated Zi Yarrow to resist Hui's host soul. He wanted to keep Shi Yang and Hui busy to carry out his plan without any disturbance. Attacking Forefather Dragon Lizard was just his first step. "I can't believe you killed my ancestor." Forefather Dragon Lizard was frightened. He figured it out quickly. He knew everything they had done was for Yuan's malignant plans. Instantly, Forefather Dragon Lizard roared. His lizard body swelled up at a speed that naked eyes could see. The skin of his lizard body was scorching red like red iron, his energy boiling formidably. He opened his massive mouth and gushed lava like a waterfall towards Yuan's body. "Unfortunately, you are only at first sky of territory ancestor realm. You're far behind Lizard." Yuan's smile didn't cease. His human body distorted for a while and disappeared in front of the thick burning lava. Yuan's continent-like body that looked dormant suddenly moved. Dark sea water flooded over from everywhere and covered the lava stream from the giant lizard's mouth. At the same time, Forefather Dragon Lizard's power was locked. He couldn't urge his energy anymore. Forefather Dragon Lizard turned into his real body and roared in the immense ocean. Lava rolled torrentially in his body and created a big, blazing lava pond. Inside the red lava pond, he roared angrily and used his power to resist the ink-black sea water, struggling hard to resist Yuan. As the immense sea water swarmed over, the lava pond was forcefully reduced by an extremely harsh power. Yuan's human clone disappeared and reappeared quietly by Shi Yang's savage body by Hui's snake head. He was still smiling and looking at the hot-tempered Shi Yang and his blood-red eyes. He spoke casually, "You better not stop me from attacking Dragon Lizard. As long as you're distracted, Hui will erase that little girl's soul. She will never recover." Shi Yang wanted to share his power to attack. Hearing Yuan, he pulled himself together immediately. He knew that Yuan was speaking the truth. He could feel Zi Yarrow inside Hui's soul and she was struggling pretty hard against Hui. At first, Zi Yarrow had the upper hand and she almost got the soul. However, when Yuan attacked Dragon Lizard, he had retreated part of his power. Yuan's suppression on Hui's soul weakened, which made Zi Yarrow lose her advantage. They were in equal positions now. If he did what Yuan did and spared part of his energy to fight Yuan, Zi Yarrow would be erased shortly after. Hui would never forgive Zi Yarrow for her backfire. As long as the others ceased the attack, it would destroy Zi Yarrow, the hidden danger, right away. The situation changed because Yuan had reduced his energy at Hui. He had planned everything precisely and created this desired situation. Shi Yang needed to boost his energy without any distraction. He had to suppress Hui and ensure that it wouldn't counterattack. Yuan made use of Zi Yarrow's soul struggling against Hui's host soul to make time for himself to attack Dragon Lizard. Even though Shi Yang knew his plan, he couldn't do anything. Even though Hui knew that, its hands were tied too. Because Shi Yang, Zi Yarrow, and Hui were controlling each other, if any of them got distracted, that person would be erased shortly. "Shi Yang, it's not that I've noticed you for only 1 or 2 days. I collected information about you since you got the Power Upanishad symbol tower. Haha, you don't know that I even went to desolate territory because of you. Aren't you curious why I've noticed you so early?" Yuan's real body was eroding Dragon Lizard's lava pond. At the same time, his human clone was chatting with Shi Yang relaxedly. Actually, he was mumbling alone. At this moment, Shi Yang couldn't talk to him, he could only listen to him passively. "Because you're different from anyone else." Yuan's smile finally ceased. "Sauron told me that he couldn't see your string of fate when he observed you. Every creature has a string of fate. The members of the 7 great clans have it. Ordinary humans have it and even absolute beginning creatures like us have one, but you don't have any string of fate." Yuan's face turned dark and sinister, his voice cold. "I'm very curious. Who are you after all? Or what is your soul, your real body?" You have Desolate's clone souls and the black hole of Devour. I can't imagine it. Your existence has broken rules of this world. Everything you've done, your power Upanishad, and your breakthrough haven't been following common logic. Pausing for a long time, Yuan's look drilled into Shi Yang as he hissed, "What are you, after all?" Shi Yang's soul consciousness had fused with extreme negative energies. Using his soul energy as the guide and the blood soul sea as the container, it entered the outer layer of Hui's soul, which blurred Hui's consciousness and restrained its mobility. It was the reason why he couldn't talk to Yuan. Still, he could hear all of what Yuan had been suspicious about. No string of fate, continuously breaking the rules of nature. It seemed like his existence didn't follow any rule in this world. It was Shi Yang's definition in Yuan's head. He vaguely guessed that all of these were because of Shi Yang's special soul. He came from another universe. Because his soul wasn't born in this world, he wasn't bound to any rule and he didn't meet any restriction in developing himself. Of course, it was just Sauron's presumption. He didn't know if it was true and he didn't have any means to prove it to Yuan. Yuan's eyes were cold and dark. He observed Shi Yang for a while and then said, "I will know the reason soon." Then, he stopped minding Shi Yang and gathered energy to hit the lava pond created by Dragon Lizard's power. He used the Black Sea water to hit the weak spots of Dragon Lizard's defense. Gruruara! An indignant roar shaking the sky came from Shi Yang. The void above his head shattered into pieces. Since the cracks in the sky emerged, Yuan's black ocean ran away. The sea level in the void lowered. It was Shi Yang's counterattack. No use. Let alone you can't use all of your power now. Even if you are at your best condition, you will lose from fighting me. Yuan's mocking voice arose from every direction. You think you are Desolate, the god of war from the absolute beginning era? Unless that man has recovered fully, you alone can't change the current situation. Then, he urged his power. The space Shi Yang had shattered mended magically. The sea water that had lowered was increasing rapidly once again. However, he didn't know that because of the lowering water level, the power Upanishad symbol tower above Hui's head had emerged and so did Shi Yang's giant head. Neptune and the others hiding far from them didn't mind Shi Yang's head. They only saw the power Upanishad symbol tower. Many of them knew the power Upanishad symbol tower was related closely to the absolute beginning gateway. And of course, they knew that the power Upanishad symbol tower could produce the absolute beginning original symbol. When the power Upanishad symbol tower emerged, they couldn't control their greed. They made up their mind soon after. They decided to join the battle. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Shadows moved like lightning strikes and crossed the dark sky, spaces, and the black ocean. Power Upanishad symbol tower. At this moment, Jor-Ni of the secret pattern tribe arched her brows, her beautiful face bright with amazing lights. They saw the power Upanishad symbol tower swayed slightly in the Black Sea and released the soul-subduing power. Underneath the power Upanishad symbol tower, because of Shi Yang's star power Upanishad, countless beautiful lights emerged, which gave them a partial view of the 12-headed snake. However, Yuan's body was in a deeper place and they couldn't see him attack Forefather Dragon Lizard. "I want that power Upanishad symbol tower," Neptune shouted and rode his clouds of billions of brutal souls, barging towards the power Upanishad symbol tower. As Yuan was devouring Forefather Dragon Lizard, he got enraged when he saw some territory ancestors go above his head to vie for the power Upanishad symbol tower. He roared, "Get lost. All of you." He knew that the power Upanishad symbol tower was the key to subdue Hui's soul. Once the power Upanishad symbol tower got a problem, Hui could get rid of it shortly after and erase Ziyaro's soul. Then, it would furiously retaliate against him. He had to maintain the current situation. No one was allowed to break this balanced situation. He could not let Shi Yang, Ziyaro, or Hui escape. Thus, he had to take action now. Chapter 1538, Savage Yuan. Chapter 1538, Savage Yuan. Yuan had instigated Shi Yang to make him persuade Ziyaro to fight back against Hui. He had planned very carefully since he knew that Hui wasn't weaker than him. Ziyaro's soul attacking Hui affected Hui greatly. So did the power of the Power Upanishad symbol tower. Shi Yang's pressure could only help in subduing Hui. Among Hui, Zi Yarrow, and Shi Yang, Hui was the biggest threat to Yuan. Yuan had planned a lot of things to subdue Hui. That's how he could achieve what he wanted. Neptune's team came to rob the Power Upanishad symbol tower. They would help Hui escape, which would ruin his entire plan. Of course, he couldn't allow them. Go away. As far as possible. Yuan Zu's real body still pressured forefather dragon lizard. The giant turtle moved over and pulled the ocean in the galaxy with it, using the black water to cover the scorching lava pond. Dragon lizard had to struggle harder. However, at this moment, Yuan Zu's power was divided as he had to use his human clone to attack Neptune and his peers. Thundering indignantly, Yuan Zu pointed at Neptune. Filled with pitch-black water, the ocean roared. Waves rolled up into the sky and smashed torrentially at Neptune. Neptune's clouds made of many ghosts and brutal souls dispersed when the water hit them. Puffed. Neptune vomited blood, his face aghast. He retreated instinctively. Dozens of brutal souls became animals like a giant elephant, ape, and a savage bear that pounded on their chests outrageously. They shielded Neptune from the furious waves. The Power Upanishad symbol tower continued to move. Neptune was pushed back before he could reach it. Yuan Zu. It's Yuan Zu, one of the 10 great territory ancestors. Keith, Xiao Lai, Jiao Ni, and Labit landed by Neptune. Keith was so frightened as he told the others Yuan Zu's identity. His Yuan Zu, the oldest expert among the 10 great territory ancestors. Unbelievable. He's an absolute beginning creature. It's striking news. Jiao Ni's peculiar patterns on her face glowed in green and purple lights. Her deep eyes also had a lot of exquisite patterns. At this moment, they looked lively as they were moving strangely. It was the sign that she was urging her power. Xiao Lai, Keith, and Labit were filled with fear. When they looked at Yuan Zu, their faces turned awkward. It was unexpected that Yuan Zu was an absolute beginning creature. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they would never have believed that Yuan Zu, the oldest territory ancestor in the sea domain of nihility, was actually a terrifying creature from absolute beginning era. If you know who I am, why don't you get out of here fast? Yuan Zu had pulled off his disguise and showed the merciless face of an absolute beginning creature. Let alone you guys, even if Han Tian, Beverly, and Serene Prison were here, they wouldn't dare to mess with my business. Go back to where you came from. Or else, don't blame me. Hearing him, everybody turned grave. Yuan Zu was like Sauron. They weren't members of the 7 great clans. Among the 10 great territory ancestor, they were the most mysterious and unpredictable ones. This was especially the case for Yuan Zu as he didn't show up for several thousand years. Moreover, the warriors presented here all knew how fierce Yuan Zu was from the experts in their clans. They understood that if they fought him alone, they couldn't match against him. Even if they joined hands, they weren't so sure that they could fight Yuan Zu. Thus, at this moment, they were very hesitant. They watched the Power Upanishad symbol tower but didn't dare to act rashly. I will count to 10. After that, I will kill all who dare to stay. Yuan Zu stayed silent for a few seconds and then counted loudly. 1, 2, 3. He didn't have time to waste here. As Shi Yang's Power Upanishad symbol tower was subduing Hui together with Shi Yang's power and his power, Hui was controlled for the time being. Zi Yarrow seized the chance to gather and conquer Hui's soul consciousness. If Zi Yarrow could fuse with Hui's host soul, she was going to become very formidable. She would replace Hui and become Yuan's biggest threat. He had to finish those disturbers soon. While he was still counting, Neptune and the others were restlessly hesitant. They were trying to reason and calculate. They eyed the Power Upanishad symbol tower and the marvelous powers of the absolute beginning creatures. They didn't want to leave. 10. While they were still hesitating, Yuan Zu counted 10. His eyes turned malicious. Right after that, forefather dragon lizard's giant body suddenly roared earth-shakingly. Sound waves came from the ocean, which exploded the water continuously. A tornado rose and reached the sky like waves of terrifying soul energy attacking Neptune's team. Yuan's giant turtle body left Dragon Lizard alone for a while and approached Neptune and the others in the sea water. Dragon Lizard has lizard's essence blood. After reaching the territory ancestor realm, he's stronger than all of you. With the power I use to subdue him, I can beat you up easily. Yuan Zu's face was so cold as he urged his energy. Currents of energy shot from his territory and became water arrows, blades, and spears. There were billions of them and all were made of pure soul energy. People all saw each of his thoughts become a massive water drop. Each of those water drops contained pure soul energy, which could turn the lake into an ocean and create water blades or waterfalls. He could conjure any state of water and turn them into perfect, lethal weapons. Neptune's team felt a lot of pressure. You fireflies want to compete with the bright moon? Want to die? Yuan Zu sneered. The clear water drops turned into soft, amber crystals that then shrouded Clark of the ancient monster clan instantly. Clark was now a mosquito trapped in glass. He couldn't move even a bit. Sizzle. 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 The strange sizzling sounds of something melting arose from Clark's body. Inside that amber, Clark at the peak of Immortal Realm was the first to get killed. Yuan Zu continued to gather his power. Each of his water drops enlarged to one mu. With pure energy, they covered Neptune's team. 3 Immortal Realm experts followed Clark shortly. The water melted them to death. Neptune, Xiao Lai, Lebit, Keith, and Jorenai were sealed inside the clear water drops where they were attacked by the rapid currents and the water pressure. Neptune and the others discolored in fear as they found that their god power was running out fast. Xiao Lai and Lebit broke their bones and their bodies were reaching the limit. Only at first sky of territory ancestor realm and you dare dream for the power Upanishad symbol tower? You don't know your competence. Yuan Zu sneered. His entire human clone had so many beads of water. From his eyes, streams shot towards those water drops and hit Neptune and the others. Their bodies made cracking noises that prevented them from using their power Upanishads. At this moment, Neptune's team deeply understood how different their strength was from Yuan Zu's. Yuan Zu's power was divided into 3 parts. One part was subduing Hui, another part kept Forefather Dragon Lizard from counterattacking, and the third part was to stop these territory ancestors and to kill some Immortal Realm experts. Everybody felt chilled when they saw his deeds. When I want to slaughter in this immense galaxy, who can stop me? Yuan Zu's voice was cold and merciless. A water drop emerged on the fingertip of his human clone. That water drop had a miniature of Yuan, which was billions of times smaller. The patterns on the turtle shell suddenly glowed altogether. It was a magical territory on the turtle shell. The continent in that territory had thick earth and heaven aura with mountains, rivers, seas, forests, cities, billions of creatures, and many strong warriors. Although it was shrunk billions of times and was just an illusion, people still gawked in surprise. Not far from them, a world also emerged on the shell of Yuan's giant turtle body. It was also illusory, but people could see so many cities and countries with living beings. With a closer look, they could even see the warriors in those cities fighting against each other. Those creatures had turtle shells on their back. They looked like humans with turtle shells. Apparently, they were the species that Yuan had created with his body as the model. Old legends said that Yuan, the absolute beginning creature, was born with a continent on its back. The continent had billions of lives living and growing. They didn't know that they were living, cultivating, getting married, and living the other aspects of life on the shell of a giant turtle. Slowly, they became stronger together with Yuan. Then one day, Yuan woke up and ate billions of lives living on the continent on its back. That's how it got wisdom and became an absolute beginning creature. Then, it continued to create more living beings and let them live on its shell. Rumors said that Yuan raised those creatures as if he was growing herbs and pellets that benefited him greatly. Those creatures lived like crops. One crop lasted for dozens of thousands of years. It was like Yuan was growing herbs or vegetables. Once they grew fully, Yuan ate them to increase his power and intelligence. It was how this creature got stronger and wiser. The longer he lived, the more crops he could harvest. He became much stronger. This time, It looked like the human tonic of his current crop hadn't ripened yet. However, Yuan had used a lot of energy already and he couldn't wait any longer. He began to swallow the tonic, the living beings that are measured by billions. Swoosh! Yuan's dragon head lifted and opened its mouth wide to the continent. Sea water suddenly rose and covered the entire vast continent where dozens of countries, hundreds of cities, billions of creatures and countless experts were hosted. Yuan opened its mouth. The water flooding the continent washed all the creatures away. While they were screaming pathetically and desperately, Yuan had sucked the sea water with all the creatures into its mouth. Chapter 1539, Borrow Power. Chapter 1539, Borrow Power. The sea water drew every living being on Yuan's shell to its stomach. No matter how hard they tried to wiggle or scream desperately, they couldn't change the fact that it was the end of their world. No one could escape. Many of them were really powerful at the immortal realm. After more than 10,000 years, they had slowly cultivated to understand the power of nature and accumulate energy. As they were about to break through to territory ancestor realm, their wings finally broke. The apocalypse had finally come. Before that, they had already felt the pressure in their souls and their realms go stagnant. In the dark, a giant beast was watching them and holding them in its claws. They weren't going to be able to escape. They were like Xian He, Ming Hao, or the God Lord. They were existences at high realms. However, their fates were more tragic than warriors in desolate territory. There was not a troublemaker like Shi Yang in their territory. Thus, their ends were predestined right before they were born. Yuan acted similarly to the way Desolate destroyed the experts in desolate territory. He had increased his power from the deaths of all creatures. Those who were lucky enough to see Yuan swallow the world felt clearly that as the creatures disappeared into Yuan's mouth, both Yuanzu and the real body's power increased massively. Ruruara. Swallowing billions of lives, Yuan roared and hit Dragon Lizard in the seething sea. High waves swarmed and covered the entire giant lizard inside the lava pond by Shiyang. Yuan's real body showed its brutality. With newly supplemented energy, it roared and showed its massive mouths full of fangs like rows of sharp blades. Sizzle. It bit the tail of the giant lizard and forcefully yanked it. The tail was pulled off the lizard's body. Blood gushed like a river. Yuan opened its mouth wide and chewed off the giant lizard tail. Blood and pieces of meat splashed from the dragon-like mouth. Dragon Lizard rolled in the sea in agony and fear. He couldn't endure it anymore. So delicious. It's an absolute beginning creature's blood. You low races will never know it. Yuan's human form looked infatuated. The strength in his body rocketed. He turned to Lebit of the Devouring Clan and said, "You'll die first." Rumble. Rumble. The water drop covering Lebit exploded earth-shakingly. As people watched, the water drop was dyed blood red when Lebit exploded tragically. After swallowing all the creatures he had cultivated on his shell, Yuan's real body and human clone's power rocketed. The turtle body began to bite and swallow forefather dragon lizard while the human clone showed its fangs to Neptune's group. Yuan's power was divided into 3 parts, but it was still overpowering the others. His boldness and brutality had shaken the entire sky. Shi Yang was trying hard to subdue Hui's soul and power. He was tightening the chain made of Skyfall Star River to shackle Hui's main head. He felt Zi Yarrow and Hui struggle equally. And now, Yuan's malicious deeds had ignited a flame in his heart. He couldn't draw his hands back. If he released his restraint, Zi Yarrow's soul was going to perish shortly. Hui was going to wake up and fight Yuan furiously. Or it was going to kill him first. If he didn't release his restraint, he could only maintain the current situation. He had tried to attract Neptune's group here to share his pressure as he thought that they could threaten Yuan. However, he had underestimated Yuan's intimidation. When Yuan showed his fangs, Shi Yang could feel a deep fear since he had never seen such world-destroying strength from Hui and Devour. It seemed like Yuan didn't join the war in absolute beginning era. He had preserved his power without a single wound. After many crops, he had harvested the creatures in his territory to increase his power steadily. After billions of years, in this era, Yuan had become a strange but invincible existence. Shi Yang didn't know who in this world could resist Yuan's brutal prowess. Montesi, hero, Dracula, let alone the fact that they weren't here. Even if they were here, would they be able to stop Yuan's terrifying massacre? Honestly, Shi Yang didn't think it was possible. Yuan was too fierce and formidable. Many ideas flashed in his head as he was trying to figure out a way to win in this current situation. As soon as he wanted to give up, a heavy pressure came from his co-soul, which was deep in his inner world. This pressure came from Desolate, the absolute beginning creature titled as the god of war in Absolute Beginning Era. He was a fierce existence that could subdue Hui and devour. Yes, Desolate. An electric beam flashed in Shi Yang's head. He suddenly got it. Desolate was the only way to break out of this losing situation. He got 2 parts of Desolate's soul. If he died, Yuan could take them all. They would strengthen Yuan massively. It wasn't something that Desolate wanted to see. Until now, he always felt Desolate's existence. Moreover, Desolate often sent the soul consciousness through star areas to find him. Every time, he would cut off the connection with Desolate to hide. He was so afraid that Desolate would figure out where he was. Shi Yang understood that as Desolate's strength increased continuously, he was going to come and find him one day. Thus, within this time, he had tried his best to increase his power. Killing Feral was his first step. Everything he had done was to deal with the potential danger called Desolate. In this moment, Shi Yang, the one who had always rebelled against Desolate, proactively contacted Desolate for the first time. All of a sudden, the soul pond in his sea of consciousness rippled. With the co-soul as the bridge, Shi Yang's soul had pierced through endless spaces to reach Desolate territory. A wisp of soul energy pierced through Desolate territory's entrance and entered deeper into the territory. As Desolate's soul consciousness had covered the entire Desolate territory, he immediately recognized this wisp of a soul. He connected to Shi Yang immediately. The soul pond inside Shi Yang's sea of consciousness became as bright as a mirror which showed a massive planet inside Desolate territory. Deep inside the planet, a massive dragon was lying. The scales on its entire body was gold and it was lying like an endless mountain range to the end of the continent. On the dragon's head, Ghost Hunter appeared, his face solemn and cold and his eyes ancient. He appeared in the mirror in Shi Yang's soul pond. What a surprise! You've been hiding for a long time and today, you contacted me deliberately. Ghost Hunter's voice was cold and it pierced through many territories and endless space, resounding in Shi Yang's sea of consciousness. I'm going to be brief. Yuan, one of the absolute beginning creatures, is right here. Shi Yang didn't try to cover anything up with his words. He spoke in the simplest way possible to describe the incidents. Then, he said, if I die, my body and soul will be taken by Yuan. I know absolute beginning creatures can get each other's power from drinking blood and eating flesh. You don't want to see your soul get devoured by Yuan, do you? Yuan, that sinister coward. It had to walk around to avoid standing in my way. He didn't dare to join that war. I didn't think that he would dare to swagger in this era. It seems like you don't have true experts in this era. Otherwise, how could that despicable bastard rise wind and rain here? Ghost Hunter sneered and harshly told Shi Yang Yuan's shameful past in the absolute beginning era. Apparently, he didn't appreciate Yuan a lot. Times have changed. After that great war, the absolute beginning era ended. Many of you guys died or got wounded. Only he was safe and sound. He got lizard's blood and he accumulated energy for billions of years. He's invincible now. Shi Yang was hurried, his soul consciousness yelling furiously. I don't have much time. If you don't want to lose your souls, you have to tell me how to defeat it. All of your souls, body, and power Upanishads belong to me, only me. No one else can touch you. Ghost Hunter thundered outrageously. You just need to stop subduing Hui so she can wake up. Join hands with Hui and you can beat Yuan up. Why do you need to find me? If I could let Zi Yarrow go, I would have it done earlier. Why would I need to find you? Sneered Shi Yang. You have a woman's heart. Ghost Hunter snorted. Pondering for a while, he said, what do you want? I want to defeat Yuan. Use your power. Will you give me power? My soul and your co-soul are actually one. I can lend you my power for a while. After that, I will retrieve my energy that doesn't belong to you. Then what are you waiting for? Why do I have to help you? If you don't help me, your soul will be eaten by Yuan. I can kill it and get back the souls that belong to me. Yuan was just a small character. How can it be my enemy? Then we don't need to negotiate anything. Unless you agree to one thing. What's that? When Sauron goes to you, show me his appearance and aura. This man has challenged me many times and pried outside my territory. I want to know his soul aura. He will find me. I'm sure. Okay, I agree. Shi Yang agreed with him. Right after that, abundant energy was sent to his soul pond through space. The dragon-like mass of energy emerged from the soul pond and hovered above his immense sea of consciousness. That energy was several times stronger than his own. As it had desolate soul print, Shi Yang's co-soul could control it. Shortly after, a wild aura that could wreak the entire territory gushed from him and covered the entire sea domain of nihility too. His savage absolute beginning body grew further. Dragon spikes jutted out of his skin and appeared on his chest, arms, and waist. With a glance, he was like a giant, spiky dragon. Chapter 1540, Fearfully Barbarian. Chapter 1540, Fearfully Barbarian. Shi Yang's power rocketed instantly, but he didn't attack Yuan yet. He maintained his previous position. Holding the star chain, he restrained Hui's main head. Deep in his eyes, blood-red energy gushed crazily and hit Hui deep in its sea of consciousness. That sort of energy had created soul pressure. Finally, the balance that Yuan had laboriously created was broken. Zi Yarrow used her absolute advantage to counterattack Hui's soul and use her soul to swallow Hui's host soul. Hui's sea of consciousness had become a world filled with bands of dazzling light. The sparkling halos rippled like light waves in the sea at every corner. Deep inside the brilliant sea of light was a magnificent, hovering, seven-colored soul altar. It was Hui's soul altar with the blinding divine light power Upanishad, a territory, and a pocket-sized snake soul, which was Hui's host soul. At this moment, the dark green snake was affected by the black water and a red halo. It looked so helpless. Zi Yarrow's graceful soul turned into a bunch of purple light and coiled around the little green snake. The little snake struggled hard. The snake body was slowly vanishing in the purple light. Quite the contrary, the purple light grew bigger and brighter at a speed that naked eyes could see. It was filled with energy. That small snake was Hui's host soul. While Zi Yarrow was backfiring it, she had taken a lot of mysterious images in its memories. Zi Yarrow's aura was completely similar to a snake. It wasn't a problem to migrate the memories. It was as easy as water pulling the boat. Dash! Shi Yang's ferocious, savage body observed and found that the struggling snake suddenly quieted down. He knew that they had gotten over the dangerous phrase. Zi Yarrow now had Hui's host soul. From now on, Hui's time was over. Zi Yarrow was about to replace it and control this absolute beginning body. Yuan's energy was divided into 3 flows to control Dragon Lizard, Shi Yang, Zi Yarrow, and Neptune's group. He had controlled the situation. Right at this moment, Yuan suddenly bellowed at the void. He crazily shared a greater part of his soul consciousness to subdue Zi Yarrow. He didn't want Hui to wake up or Zi Yarrow to take Hui's soul. The changed situation threatened him. He had to retrieve the energy he used to fight Forefather Dragon Lizard and Neptune to help Hui counterattack Shi Yang and Zi Yarrow. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. He immediately retrieved his soul energy sent to the other snakes. After his restraint was gone, the other 11 soul clones of Hui hurried to attack Zi Yarrow. The soul clones turned into small snakes, emerged in Hui's soul, and furiously attacked Zi Yarrow. However, after Zi Yarrow had taken in Hui's host soul, she had also obtained its memories and powers. She was no longer the weak warrior that Hui could bully. She had Hui's powers. Zi Yarrow suddenly transformed into a human with a snake body from the purple light. She urged her power Upanishad in Hui's sea of consciousness. Shortly after, she steadied herself in this world of divine light. She could pull and control them all. Bands of dazzling light crossed over this inner world and attacked the little snakes. In this world, She was the only protagonist. Shi Yang's soul consciousness in there also felt her intimidation. Yuan was still roaring wildly. When Zi Yarrow got Hui's host soul, his soul had tried to get in there. However, he was stopped outside by the divine light. He couldn't intrude Zi Yarrow's sea of consciousness to overturn the situation. At the same time, Shi Yang recognized that Zi Yarrow was fighting the 11 clones in her sea of consciousness. He knew that he didn't need to help her anymore. He retrieved his soul consciousness and power. His formidable, giant body shook. The giant dragon tattoo on his body suddenly moved. The world-destroying energy furiously diffused from him. Crack, crack, crack. The immense sea created by Yuan energy exploded and collapsed fast. It seemed like the ocean created by water power Upanishad couldn't resist such a power. The current water level of the sea was now at Shi Yang's waist. At first glance, it looked like he was standing in the middle of a small, shallow pond where a giant turtle that wasn't bigger than him was swimming. Heavenly stars move, Shi Yang shouted. Skyfall Star River changed in the void and turned into thousands of bright stars. Each star revolved and created a dazzling light curtain. The light curtain created hundreds of strange, ancient formations, seals, and barriers, falling like waterfalls. All were aimed at Yuan's giant turtle body. Space confines. Space energy rippled. Wherever the space ripples went, the void froze. The giant turtle paused. Boom. Shi Yang ballooned like a demogorgon that descended to this world while terrifying energy was emitting from him. He trotted on the giant turtle shell. The giant dragon tattoo on his body suddenly revived. The dragon opened the mouth as if it was smiling and moved towards the giant turtle. Desolate. You dipped your nose in my business. Yuan Zu's human clone looked frightened for the first time. The giant turtle retracted into the shell. The world on the turtle shell was put into a deep place in his territory. All the patterns on the turtle shell glowed and turned black. Thump. Shi Yang's stamp sounded like a hammer hitting a bronze drum. Yuan's turtle shell made the sound of an earth-shaking explosion. The giant dragon tattoo hit the patterns on the turtle shell and cracked it. Yuan screamed in agony. I will risk my life with you. Yuan Zu screamed and then ignored Neptune's group, entering his real body. Yuan's turtle body's energy rocketed once more. The scattered energy all united. Rumble. 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 Crack. 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 A demogorgon whose head touched the void and feet trod the darkness was fighting a giant turtle in the surging sea. They were using their power Upanishads to attack each other and their massive body to tear and bite each other. Neptune, Xiao Lai, Jiao and the others were released since Yuan had retrieved his power. Dragon Lizard lost his tail, but he was saved when he was close to dying. Just like Neptune and the others, he was dazedly watching the two terrifying creatures entangling and biting each other. Is he really Shi Yang? Jiao patterned face showed her fear. She lifted her head to look at Shi Yang, whose little toe was as big as a mountain. She was filled with fear. Yes. That's him. Neptune sounded bitter. I heard that you had almost killed him on the seabed of the Sea of Annihilation. I want to know if the rumors were true or not. You can defeat him? Xiao Lai of Heavenly Craftsman tribe asked frankly. He looked at Neptune skeptically and asked impolitely, you think you can kill him now? Did you lose your mind while cultivating? Neptune looked embarrassed, but he didn't snap back. Jiao of Secret Pattern tribe had strange lights in her eyes as she complimented. Yeah, he's the one who has claimed my G's heart. I didn't know why the most beautiful flower of the Phantom clan has fallen in love with an anonymous person. But now, I get it. She didn't conceal her compliments. What a hunk. Let alone my G. I think as long as you are a woman, your heart will pound hard as you watch this fight. I think you should leave hurriedly. However, at this moment, Forefather Dragon Lizard's voice arose. He floated from the seething ocean, his body gory and his face exhausted. You're severely wounded, said Xiao Lai. I won't die yet. But if I stay here, I'm not sure about that. Forefather Dragon Lizard pulled a cold face as he looked at the corpses of Labit and Clark. Whether it's Shi Yang or Yuan Zu, when one becomes victorious, he will kill you all. Which side did you choose? Jiao and I was interested. She didn't even bat her eyes at Clark and Lebet. Apparently, she was that sort of heartless person. Sighed. Forefather Dragon Lizard wore a strange face. He lifted his head to look at the overbearing Shi Yang in the void. He was scared. He knew that absolute beginning creatures could eat each other to increase its power. As he got Lizard's blood, he wondered if Shi Yang, who had fallen into his bloody slaughtering desire, would lose his mind and kill all the creatures here. Forget it. I don't care about you. I have to get out of here. Pondering, he didn't dare to take risks. As he felt that Shi Yang's condition was not right, he didn't want to stay. After talking to Neptune and the others, he dragged his bloody body away. The battle between Shi Yang and Yuan continued. The giant and the turtle were hitting each other hard in the dark ocean. The shockwaves from their exploding energy broke many life stars around. This strange territory was about to collapse because of their battle. Shi Yang alone couldn't resist Yuan. However, after Desolate lent him energy, he could maintain an equal fight with Yuan. Neptune's team didn't want to leave when they saw the two battling hard against each other. They hid in the dark and observed. Oh, that big snake isn't moving anymore, is it? Neptune was surprised and something flashed in his head. This is our chance. The others checked and found that the 12 snakes of Hui stopped moving. Their eyes were also closed. Chapter 1541 Zi Yarrow is born again. Chapter 1541 Zi Yarrow is born again. It hurt, didn't it? Neptune's eyes brightened in desire. They came here because of the absolute beginning body. Right now, Shi Yang and Yuan were fighting. They couldn't spend extra effort to pay attention to them. It was their rare chance that happened once in a blue moon. I haven't seen it move. I guess it's hurt from the previous battle. Xiao Lai smiled excitedly. Xiao Lai had a scarlet flame churn in his palm. Slowly, the flame grew as big as a millstone. Xiao Lai controlled it to hit one of the 12 snakes. Boom! The flame exploded. The red flame burned the snake as if it had its own consciousness. Boop! 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 The viscous flame expanded fast and covered a section of the snake's body. Gradually, the snake smelled like something burning. People focused on that snake and found it motionless. It didn't twist its body or use energy to extinguish the flame. Everyone's eyes brightened. They didn't say more, grinning and dashing towards Hui's clones. They wanted to seize the chance when the snakes were separated to drink Hui's absolute beginning blood. Neptune screamed and summoned so many brutal souls. Those souls then became the most savage beasts and aimed at a massive snake. Each brutal soul was as big as a mountain. However, compared to the trunk of the snake, it was still pretty small. The snake was like a long mountain range. But now, dozens of brutal souls were biting and tearing it. Neptune urged his power Upanishad and licked his lips greedily while increasing his energy. He wanted to prick through the snake's natural armor. Hui was an absolute beginning creature. Its body was incomparably strong. Although it couldn't save the soul, its natural defense wasn't something that ordinary warriors could break. Waves of rippling lights emerged from Hui's body and dissolved Neptune's power. The brutal souls were nibbling and tearing something like rubber. They couldn't tear the snake's skin to see and absorb its real flesh and blood. Similarly, Jiao and I, Xiao Lai, and the others were using their powers to try to stab through the snake body to get into it. They were restlessly increasing their energy and trying their best to break the skin. Deep in Hui's soul, the pocket-sized snakes had pierced through the world of brilliant lights and headed towards Zi Yarrow. Zi Yarrow appeared as a part human and part snake. She had become the rightful master of this divine light sea of consciousness. She moved agilely. So many radiant beams were weaving on her face and her body. They became brilliant symbols that carried mysterious and powerful abilities. Return the host soul. I will set you free. The voices of 11 Huis sounded at the same time and became pure energy that hit Zi Yarrow's soul. I am you. And you are me. Why talk about freedom? After Zi Yarrow got the host soul, her confidence was boosted. She seemed to transform into another person. At this moment, she was extremely beautiful and charming. She smiled with a bright face. She raised her hand and pointed at each snake. You guys are just wisps of my soul consciousness. In my world, you can't struggle. The snakes wanted to bargain more, but they suddenly felt their bodies get attacked. It was because Neptune, Xiao Lai, and Jiurenai began to attack their bodies and tried to dig into them to absorb the absolute beginning blood. It scared the snakes. They noisily hissed at Zi Yarrow. They wanted to stop this bargaining and return to the body to kill the ones who dared to attack their bodies. Harumph. Since you came here, don't think about leaving. Anyway, my body isn't under attack. Zi Yarrow's hands interlaced and created many magical seals and absolute beginning symbols, sealing the souls of the 11 snakes in this sea of bright light. Since Neptune's group was afraid that Hui would risk its life to counterattack, they thought that they were wise enough to skip the host body. Thus, Zi Yarrow's body wasn't attacked. She didn't worry about it. Don't worry. Even if you individuals are destroyed, as long as I'm here, you can be revived. Haha. But I'm afraid you guys won't have decent living conditions when that happens. Well, you should follow me now. I will refine you and we will become one again. 11 snakes hissed ear-piercingly and tried to wiggle hard. However, right at that moment, Xiao Lai of the Heavenly Craftsman tribe had used his scorching flame to burn off the scale armor on a small section on the snake body. He conjured a gold lance and thrusted the soft meat. Puff! The snake body was pierced through, exposing its blood and flesh. Xiao Lai's eyes brightened. He laughed crazily and tried to get inside the snake. At the same time, one of the 11 snakes panicked, its energy draining fast. Zi Yarrow immediately changed seals. Countless magical seals fell on that snake and coiled it. Shortly after, she pulled it towards her snake body. Strange noises of something dissolving arose. When she got one of her souls back, Zi Yarrow's power increased. She continued to use her power to pull another snake. She pulled the snakes back to their positions and merged them all. As the other snakes saw the situation turn wrong, they quit attacking her, turned around, and tried to run away. When Zi Yarrow was getting stronger, they couldn't decide what to do anymore. Unfortunately, Zi Yarrow got so strong that they couldn't get rid of her. The snake disappeared, one by one. Zi Yarrow erased their independent consciousness and gave them different consciousness. Her own consciousness. The snakes were refined, tamed, they became parts of Zi Yarrow. Shortly after, the tamed 11 snakes flew out of her body. This time, they all had Zi Yarrow's aura as their souls now had Zi Yarrow's soul imprint. From now on, Hui no longer existed. Zi Yarrow was now the absolute beginning creature called Hui. She had everything that belonged to Hui. The 12 silent snakes faced the sky and roared all of a sudden. The separate bodies moved and their tails merged with each other. Afterward, the 12 heads raised high in the sky as its massive body filled every corner of the continent. Zi Yarrow in her human form stood on the main head and opened her eyes. She was shrouded in stunning halos. She looked at Xiao Lai and the others from her height and sneered. Court death yourself. Cold, sparkling crystal lights fell from her head toward her clones. Boom. Xiao Lai, who had gotten a section of the snake body, became the first target. The cold light hit him and extinguished his flame. He shivered in extreme cold. Spit it out. Zi Yarrow's face turned cold. She pointed at Xiao Lai. The bottles and jars on his body, which contained the blood and flesh he had just taken from the snake, exploded. The snake's blood and flesh flew back to the wounds on the snake's body as if they had consciousness. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Zi Yarrow was enraged. She used her power and the 12 heads roared and hissed, releasing the bands of rainbows. The rainbow fell like waterfalls and hit Neptune, Xiao Lai, and Jiurenai. Shortly after, in the sea of light where they were shrouded, they vanished. Although Neptune, Xiao Lai, and Jiurenai had reached the territory ancestor realm, Zi Yarrow had confined them in her world with one attempt. Then, Zi Yarrow's eyes moved and fell on Yuan and Shi Yang not far from them. Her real body roared and twisted, moving to attack Yuan. Her human body smiled gently. Yuan, my man alone can defeat you. If I join, Do you think you can escape? Yuan was in his turtle form. His shell had so many cracks. Evidently, he was severely wounded. Shi Yang's scaly armor also had cracks. He was bleeding too. In their battle, they had darkened the entire area and broken many planets nearby. Hearing Zi Yaro's laughter, Shi Yang shivered. He was so thrilled. He knew that Zi Yaro had finally awakened with his efforts. She had completely replaced Hui. She was now an existence like him, and she was even stronger than him. Yuan still wanted to fight, but he understood what had happened when he heard Zi Yaro's voice. He bellowed and tried to retreat. Bobbing in the black ocean, he wanted to flee. Shi Yang, we should join hand to kill this coward. Zi Yaro stood on the snake head as she spoke softly to Shi Yang, her eyes sentimental. Of course, Shi Yang faced the sky and laughed. Yuan was frightened. He knew that he couldn't defeat Shi Yang and Zi Yaro together. He had to run fast. At this moment, the giant dragon tattoo on Shi Yang's body faded. The endless power he got was disappearing rapidly. Ghost Hunter appeared in the soul pond inside Shi Yang's sea of consciousness. He said indifferently, I don't want you to die in Yuan's hands. Neither you or Zi Yaro can kill him. If Hui recovers fully, she will trouble me a lot. Wait for me. I will find you and merge my body with you. When that happens, no one in this era will be able to stop me. Ghost Hunter's image faded away. The giant dragon created by dark energy churning in the soul pond also disappeared. When Desolate's power was taken back, Shi Yang's savage body shrank, his power reducing greatly. Yuan seized the chance to run away. He turned into a water current and zoomed away quickly. Shortly after, he became a drop of water, disappearing. His aura vanished in this territory. Why did you let him run away? Zi Yaro sat on the snake head. She moved to Shi Yang and asked skeptically. I wasn't really that strong. Shi Yang shook his head and gave her a forced smile. He knew that Desolate wouldn't help him for no reason. He couldn't let Shi Yang and Zi Yaro kill Yuan to take more energy. Chapter 1542, Disclose Feelings. Chapter 1542, Disclose Feelings. Zi Yaro was sitting on the fulgent, seven-colored crystal throne on the snake head. Her eyes were like precious gemstones, her smile a blooming flower. She was utterly beautiful. Zi Yaro was still herself, but her makings were more charming than previously. In Shi Yang's eyes, no one could beat Zi Yaro's glamour now. Even my Ji was one level lower than her. It was all thanks to Hui's soul. She had gotten the soul of an absolute beginning creature and transformed completely. She was wearing a violet dress, her eyes brighter than snow. She lazily leaned on her side on the crystal throne, giggling and talking to Shi Yang. Shi Yang resized his massive body and stayed in his human form. He sat with Zi Yaro on the crystal throne and explained to her with a forced smile that his rocketing energy was actually from Desolate. I thought I would perish soon. I had never expected to defeat its soul. I'm still scared. Zi Yaro beamed at Shi Yang and then bit her lower lip. She reached out to Shi Yang's hand, pulling him close to her and then leaning against his torso. I thought it was only me with my affection. I thought that you didn't have me in your eyes and that I didn't have a room in your heart. Seeing you get stronger every day, I felt smaller. I thought you were getting further and further away from me. You become someone I could never touch. She murmured her feelings that she had been hiding for so many years. I had given up because I thought I could never catch up with you. I couldn't help you in anything and became a rope tying you down and keeping you from soaring up into your sky. I tried to follow you. I cultivated hard to improve my realm. She lifted her head and looked Shi Yang in his eyes. But you're too fast, so it was hard to imagine. I could only open my eyes wide and helplessly watch you get stronger and stronger. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shorten the distance between us. I hated myself at that time. Shi Yang didn't know how to reply. From the time they were in Raging Flamestar area, he knew her feelings. But at that time, he had only Xia Xin Yang in his heart. And he only wanted to break through his realm and find a safe place for Grace Mainland, which was about to run out of energy. He wanted to settle his family and friends who had trusted him wholeheartedly. Thus, He had chosen to ignore Yarrow's love. After entering Agate Star area, he had continuously fought around. He never stopped in any place. At that time, Yarrow also had a better chance. Lin Xin had accepted her as her disciple. They hadn't met each other for many years, and when they met again, they didn't spend time for each other because of Yang's advancement. When they met again, Yarrow couldn't reach him. She was left far behind him, and the distance between them was only getting longer. Yang thought that Yarrow's image wasn't carved deeply in his heart. But when Hui occupied her and Yarrow was enslaved, he finally knew that Yarrow had a room in his heart, a place where he had imprinted her image that would never fade away. Today, for me, you didn't care about your life. You risked your life to help me resist it. Finally, I know you have something for me in your heart. Yarrow suddenly had a bright smile that she couldn't conceal. It was because her bitter wait for so many years was now fruitful. The giant body of the 12-headed snake emerged as the seawater lowered. It occupied almost the entire continent. Countless pieces of broken stars were scattered around the snake. Also, so many massive pieces hovered in the void like giant specks in the galaxy, moving around the snake. Except for the two of them, this area didn't have auras of any living beings. They could show their feelings and enjoy a rare, private moment. On this strange continent in a foreign territory, they told each other their hidden emotions that they had kept for a long time. Time flew quietly. Gradually, many strange battleships appeared in the dark sea of stars. Many warriors were moving around the battleships, their realms high. Also, there were some warriors hovering directly in the void. They didn't use any battleship or war chariot. The world-destroying battle in the corner of the territory had finally alerted the warriors in the far areas. The shockwaves from Yang and Yuan's battle had torn the territory barriers, which attracted experts in the territory and adjacent territories to come and see. Yang and Yarrow felt many creatures approaching. They stopped talking. Yarrow changed her mind and a thick mist diffused, covering the space around them. In the thick mist, the 12 snakes shrank in the world of beautiful rainbow bands. That world slowly shrank until it became a light dot that disappeared into Yarrow's pupil. She and Yang stood up and released the soul consciousness to check around. Yang's soul expanded like invisible waves and reached an area where the others were gathering. A group of warriors from different races and different realms appeared in his eyes. Most of them were explorers from Empty Land, a group of native warriors, and some from other nearby territories. Among several thousand warriors, a figure caught Yang's attention. His eyes brightened as he pulled Yarrow's hand and said, "Let's go." After that, Yang and Yarrow vanished as if they were smoke and mist. Ivelines and some members of the Heavenly Eye clan were in the crowd and watching the area where mist hovered. He was taking some apprentices on a field trip to a corner of the Heavenly Eye clan's territory. He was teaching them how to comprehend their power Upanishads when he found that the space barrier near them was smashed. Curiously, he took his students to the adjacent territory from the broken space barrier. He knew this territory called Wavy River was right next to their Heavenly Eye clan's Musing Rain territory. There was a passage that linked Wavy River territory and Musing Rain territory. In fact, Ivelines, Moshe, and Adams had gone through that passage to enter Empty Land and then the Sea of Annihilation. From the shattered barrier spot, as soon as he got into Wavy River territory, he felt the earth-shaking energy impact. The commotion was billions of miles away from them, but they could still feel it clearly. Led by curiosity, he brought his apprentices to this place. They all wanted to see what had just happened to Wavy River territory. When they got to the place, they found that the area was covered in thick mist. They couldn't see anything inside that mist. Many warriors had come earlier than Ivelines and his students. Many of them were famous experts of Wavy River territory at the Immortal Realm. Those experts didn't dare to enter the mist. They were observing from a far distance. Ivelines just watched from a distance too. "Teacher, what could be the realms of the experts who had joined that battle?" A member of the Heavenly Eye clan who had only King God Realm cultivation base was very curious and eyeing the mist eagerly. "Why does no one dare to go in there and check?" "You are stupid." Of course, they know that the battle at such a level isn't something that they can observe nearby. They have to stay far away to watch. A pretty girl of the Heavenly Eye clan glared at that young man and scolded. Sister, what kind of level are you talking about? Asked the young man excitedly. The girl checked Iveline's standing next to them and then stuck her tongue out. She said cutely, of course, they are at a more terrifying realm than our master. Otherwise, our master wouldn't just watch from here. She startled the young man. He said, our master has broken through to second sky of immortal realm. You meant the warriors inside the mist have higher realms? Peak of immortal realm? Nonsense, hissed the girl. When Ivelines, Moshe, and Adams had visited the sea domain of Nihility and befriended Shi Yang, they were at first sky of immortal realm, just a step away from second sky. After the tragical incident on the Dragon Lizard Star, Forefather Dragon Lizard had taught them something. Then, the Heavenly Eye clan established a relationship with the Heavenly Sky clan and became their dependent force. Ivelines, Adams, and Moshe had received a lot of benefits. Ivelines had broken through to second sky of immortal realm shortly after. Currently, Ivelines was famous in the Heavenly Eye clan because he had helped the clan become a force under the mysterious Sky clan. His reputation in the Heavenly Eye clan was high. Even the chief of the Heavenly Eye clan had to respect him a lot. Those juniors were Iveline's apprentices. In their eyes, Ivelines was the strongest expert and they had never met any existence at the Territory Ancestor realm. The Heavenly Eye clan never had a Territory Ancestor. That's why they were just a third-class race. Unless their race had a Territory Ancestor, they could finally upgrade their class. Little Ya, little Yi, you have to remember that my realm can be deemed as the top in our clan. However, in the sea domain of Nihility, it may not be worth mentioning. Ivelines looked at the two young warriors that he had expected a lot from and seriously, at my realm, I can't return alive if I fight the others in the sea domain of Nihility. That place has so many experts like clouds in the sky that you can't count. Many forces are stronger than our clan. You shouldn't relax and become lazy in your cultivation. Hearing him, little Ya and little Yi didn't have more opinions and just nodded obediently. Ivelines looked at them and sighed inwardly. My competence is limited. Even if I teach you all that I know about Power Upanishad, you can only become stronger than me. If you don't have an excellent teacher, you will never have hope to reach the Territory Ancestor realm. The biggest dream of his life was that the Heavenly Eye clan would have a Territory Ancestor who could help the clan thrive and live better. Although his generation couldn't do that, he hoped that the next generation would achieve the dream that the entire Heavenly Eye clan had desired. He knew that his two little students, little Ya and little Yi, were extraordinary. If they had a good teacher, they could have a chance to reach the Territory Ancestor realm in the future. However, a master at the Territory Ancestor realm wasn't someone who would accept a small warrior from the Heavenly Eye clan as his disciple. When Moshe, Adams, and he had tried their best to help Shi Yang, they had a request for him. If Shi Yang reached the Territory Ancestor realm one day, he would have to choose one member of the Heavenly Eye clan as his disciple. Moshe, Adams, and Ivelines had spent time and efforts in the sea domain of Nihility to search for Shi Yang's information and whereabouts. When they heard that Shi Yang disappeared in the Sea of Annihilation, they returned to Musing Rain territory disappointed. They thought that the agreement they got with Shi Yang that year would never be implemented. Long time no see, Ivelines. While he was sinking in his regret though, a familiar voice came to his ears. He was surprised at first. When he saw the one standing next to him, he was shocked. He shook and screamed. You! Why are you here? Chapter 1543, The Agreement in the Past. Chapter 1543, The Agreement in the Past. Ivelines's eyes brightened. He had never expected to see Shi Yang here. When Shi Yang disappeared mysteriously from the Sea of Annihilation, he guessed that Shi Yang had returned home. At that time, Moshe, Adams, and he were extremely disappointed. They weren't in good moods when they returned to Musing Rain territory. After more than 100 years, he was taking some apprentices for a field trip, which wasn't in the sea domain of Nihility. However, he met Shi Yang by chance. He felt so happy, indeed. You're here, unexpectedly. Ivelines's face brightened. He was moved and suddenly understood it. He looked at the mist and assumed, you guys were attracted by that great commotion and came here from another territory. It's strange, indeed. The energy impact from this wavy river territory has shattered the territory barrier. Did it happen to your territory too? Shi Yang and Zi Yarrow exchanged looks and smiled. Yeah, our territory is nearby. Since a corner of the territory wall is torn, we came to check it out. I didn't expect to meet you guys here. Iveline's eyes shot strange light. He looked at Shi Yang and Zi Yarrow as he was startled. He couldn't recognize Shi Yang's and Zi Yarrow's realm. Is the Heavenly Eye clan's territory nearby? I haven't seen Adams and Moshe for a long time. If you don't mind, can you take me there to meet them? Shi Yang pondered for a while and then said. They were eye-catching here. After Yuan Zhu had left, this area was going to become a buzzing place, especially when Lebet and Clark were killed, and Neptune, Xiao Lai, and Jorenai were captured in Zi Yarrow's world of divine light. This place was about to attract experts at the level of the 10 Great Territory Ancestor Realm. He had experienced a bloody battle with Yuan Zhu where he had consumed a lot of energy. The energy from Lebet and the others' deaths was taken in, but he needed time to buffer the energy and refine it. Similarly, Zi Yarrow needed time to steady herself and deal with Neptune, Xiao Lai, and Jorenai. The Heavenly Eye clan's territory was going to be a good stop. Shi Yang had made up his mind. Haha, excellent. I think Adams and Moshe will be happy when they meet you. Ivelines had wished that Shi Yang would come to their territory, so he agreed immediately. He rubbed his chin and contemplated, you guys don't want to see more? That terrifying commotion had shattered even planets. I think there was a battle between territory ancestor realm experts. He was still curious about what was hiding in the thick mist over there. If it's a battle at the territory ancestor realm, we will court death ourselves if we get in there. We shouldn't get involved. Shi Yang gave a bitter smile. Ivelines thought and then said, okay, we should go back through the hole on the barrier to our musing rain territory. Master, who are they? Little Ya's eyes brightened. Her line of sight switched from Shi Yang to Zi Yarrow and she said, this Jejie is so beautiful. I have never seen anyone more beautiful than her. So stunning. After Zi Yarrow had fused with Hui's soul and power, her halo couldn't be concealed. Her glamour could make even women praise her. Little Ya and the young warriors of the Heavenly Eye clan acted gingerly when they saw Zi Yarrow. They acted unnaturally as they both wanted to see her and avoid her eyes. Also, they were afraid that Shi Yang would be enraged too. All of this made them look awkward. Zi Yarrow smiled elegantly when she heard little Ya compliment her. Girl, you're pretty too. Oh, she is. Ivelines was surprised too. He thought, not Audrey? Why did he change to another woman? When he asked that, he saw Shi Yang startle and Zi Yarrow's eyes get bright. Zi Yarrow smiled and looked at Shi Yang as if she was waiting for him to give her a satisfied answer. You haven't confirmed yet. Ivelines was embarrassed as he thought he had asked a stupid question. Shi Yang gave a faint smile. He said nothing about their relationship. As Little Yi and the other men of the Heavenly Eye clan were watching with envious eyes, he wrapped his arm around Zi Yarrow's delicate waist. Zi Yarrow's eyes looked happy. She moved with the flow, leaning against his torso and feeling great. I really like you, girl. Do you cultivate fire power Upanishad? Take this little toy as a gift for you. She walked to little Ya gracefully. While the little girl of the Heavenly Eye clan was surprised, she shoved a heart-shaped, red crystal into her hand. The heart-shaped crystal had a dancing crimson flame with consciousness. Little Ya's white hand fondled the crystal heart. Instantly, she felt her soul immerse in a sea of rolling fire. A pure flame directly seeped towards her god power ancient tree. She could hear the igniting sound when the red energy flooded in her like a rising tide. 8. Little Ya was frightened. She hastily threw the crystal heart away. Instantly, the red crystal heart emitted heat waves that filled the entire place and scared Ivelines, turning him pale. Little Ya was young and she didn't have a wide knowledge. Ivelines, of course, understood how precious that heart-shaped crystal was. He clumsily urged his power to cover that little red crystal. He checked it and became shocked. He looked at Zi Yarrow with fear and said respectfully, "This thing is too precious. Please take it back. Little YA isn't worth receiving such a precious item." The energy in this small crystal had frightened him. He didn't know what it was, but he knew it was precious. Zi Yarrow smiled and looked at Shiyang. Shiyang knew that the precious treasure in Iveline's eyes was just a plain item in Zi Yarrow's eyes. He grinned and said, "Take it for the girl. Of course, she can't absorb the energy in that crystal right away. However, it can accelerate her god power accumulating speed by 10 times. Even when she reaches the immortal realm, she won't be able to absorb all the energy in it." Hearing him, Iveline's hand, which was holding the crystal heart, quivered. Little YA was bewildered. The other members of the Heavenly Eye clan were also skeptical, as they didn't know if Shiyang told them the truth. It was just a small crystal, but the energy it stored could help little YA until she reached the immortal realm. Was it really that precious? Also, if it was really that precious, why would she give it away easily like that? Was it just a simple item in their eyes? A series of doubts wound around the hearts of the Heavenly Eye clan members. As they didn't have high echelons, they didn't dare to question the others. They just looked bewilderedly. Iveline's pondered for a while and then received the crystal. He thanked Zi Yarrow so many times and then guided them towards the crack on the territory barrier. Through the cracks on the territory barrier, Shiyang and Zi Yarrow had entered the territory where the Heavenly Eye clan dwelled. As soon as they got in there, the torn part on the territory barrier mended magically inside the space energy ripples. Of course, the members of the Heavenly Eye clan didn't know anything. Musing Rain territory wasn't really big. Shiyang's soul consciousness reached out and covered half of the territory quickly. He had observed many life stars to know the generation situations of this territory. "I'm taking you to the teleport formation to jump to our holy land. Moshe and Adams are there." After Iveline's had received the flaming crystal, he was somehow afraid of Shiyang and Zi Yarrow. He led them to the nearest teleport formation. Along the way, he was so gingerly. He found that he couldn't see through Shiyang. He wasn't confident to remind the man of the agreement they had made in the past. He was afraid that Shiyang would deny him. Along the way, little YA and little Yi had murmured with the other young warriors of the Heavenly Eye clan. They were so curious about Shiyang and Zi Yarrow as they made guesses about their realm and cultivation base. Most of them thought that Shiyang and Zi Yarrow were at first sky of immortal realm. Little Yi made a risky guess. The two of them had reached second sky of immortal realm. Swoosh! White halos expanded as the teleport formation was activated. It had teleported them through dozens of planets directly to the holy land of the Heavenly Eye clan. The Heavenly Eye star looked like a realistic eye, though. It was the holy land of the Heavenly Eye clan where generations of their race had dwelled, cultivated, and worshipped their ancestors. The spirit chi on this planet wasn't thin. The vast forest occupied 3/4 of the planet. The rest of the land had many lakes that were all crystal clear. The water in the lake was so fresh and clean that they could drink it directly. Many cities, big and small, were situated in the forest. The warriors of the Heavenly Eye clan were moving in and out, some of them flying in the sky. There were 7 big, crystal-like lakes in the southwest part of this planet. It was the Heavenly Eye clan's holy land where they made many big statues. The vertical eyes on the forehead of the statues all opened and released a 5-colored divine light. Those were the statues of the former experts who had made a great contribution to the clan. Shiyang saw a new statue around 10 meters made of some blue stone stood there. Surprisingly, it was Iveline's. Many warriors of the Heavenly Eye clan were standing at the foot of the statue, bowing to show their respect. "Not bad, your fellows made you a statue," Shiyang teased him after landing. "Ah, it's embarrassing," said Iveline's reluctantly. "My teacher has helped our Heavenly Eye clan establish the alliance with the mysterious Sky clan. It's his merit that we can depend on the strong mysterious Sky clan. With his great contribution to the clan, our chief and the elders agreed that he was qualified to receive the worshipping from our fellows." One of Iveline's apprentice explained, his face red. He had considered Iveline's his proud teacher for more than 100 years. Shi Yang just smiled and walked through the lines of statues as he thought that it was interesting. Zi Yarrow walked shoulder by shoulder with him. Ivelines became more embarrassed. More than anyone else, he knew that the Heavenly Eye Clan could depend on the mysterious Sky Clan because Tu Shiqi and Ya Yun had considered Shi Yang's face. Otherwise, the Heavenly Eye Clan wasn't eligible to become a clan under the mysterious Sky Clan. Chapter 1544 Dispel Doubts. Chapter 1544 Dispel Doubts. The Holy Land of the Heavenly Eye Clan was situated in the middle of the 7 crystal clear lakes where thick earth and heaven energy hovered. The giant statues were also temples that they used to worship. Those temples were tall and vast. Many elders of the Heavenly Eye Clan stayed there to cultivate. The chief of the Heavenly Eye Clan stayed in the biggest temple where he solved all the matters of the Heavenly Eye Clan. Iveline's teacher used to be the great elder of the clan. He was gone in the battle with the experts from the adjacent territory. Ivelines, Moshe, and Adams weren't eligible to stay in the Holy Land and they weren't the elders of the clan. Returning from the sea domain of Nihility, Ivelines had helped establish the alliance with the mysterious Sky Clan. With this great merit, Ivelines, Adams, and Mash had become the elders of the Heavenly Eye Clan. They finally got their lots in those temples. Ivelines was the senior and he had contributed greatly to the clan. After the elders of the Heavenly Eye Clan had discussed, they had even built him his own temple. Many fellows of the Heavenly Eye Clan considered Ivelines an important officer of the clan. The young warriors would visit and worship his statue regularly. Iveline's apprentices also considered him their pride. Thus, when Shi Yang teased him, they couldn't help but retort. Shi Yang just smiled and asked Ivelines to lead the way. He strolled past the temples. The area in front of us is the center of the Holy Land. Without permission from the chief, we can't get in there. Please understand, Ivelines halted and spoke embarrassedly. Adams and Moshe are inside the temple. I'm going there to call them to meet you personally. Shi Yang wasn't interested in the Holy Land of the Heavenly Eye Clan at all. He went to the clan just to find a place to rest. He nodded when Ivelines told him to wait. Ivelines told his disciples to wait outside. He walked alone to the temple. 1 hour later, he returned with Moshe and Adams. When Adams and Moshe saw Shi Yang, they were so excited that they screamed from a distance. On behalf of the fellows of the entire Heavenly Eye Clan, thank you for visiting us. Little Ya, Little Yi, and the other young fellows of the Heavenly Eye Clan were so surprised when they saw Adams treat Shi Yang humbly. Adams was always a proud expert. Thank him on behalf of the Heavenly Eye Clan's fellows. They were bewildered as they didn't know why the Heavenly Eye Clan had to be grateful to Shi Yang. They thought that Adams talked about big things, so they didn't dig further. There were so many members of the Heavenly Eye Clan gathering around the statues. They were talking boisterously. However, hearing the commotion over there, they couldn't help but notice the group of warriors. At first glance, they saw Ivelines, Adams, and Moshe. They were all surprised and excited, hurrying to approach him. Elder Ivelines. You are Elder Ivelines. Please bless me. Elder Adams, Elder Moshe. Holy moly. You came out of the temple. I'm so glad I met you here. Please show me the way to cultivate my power Upanishad. Elder Ivelines. The boisterous, excited noises arose. The young fellow's eyes brightened and they tried to get through the crowd to meet their idols. Ivelines hurriedly spoke when he saw the situation turn wrong. We'll talk somewhere else. He rose his hand to grab. Bands of starlight turned into a fabric sheet and covered his disciples. Together with Moshe and Adams, they disappeared. Shi Yang flickered his mind and his figure faded away with Zi Yarrow. When they reappeared, they were in a small ravine outside the temple area in the Holy Land. It was a quiet place with strong barriers outside where a lot of towers and buildings with elegant and interesting architecture were built. Iveline's teacher used to live here to cultivate. Sometimes, when Ivelines and the other two needed to discuss privately, they came here. It wasn't far from the Holy Land, though. Why did you come to our Heavenly Eye Clan this time? As forefather Dragon Lizard had given Moshe an immortal pellet, she had entered the immortal realm. Similarly, she was now one of the Heavenly Eye clan's elders. More than anyone else, she knew her today's attainment was all because of Shi Yang. Thus, she sounded more respectful to Shi Yang than Adams. I just passed by and I saw Evelyn's. That's why I came to visit you guys, Shi Yang smiled. Chem, the chief is busy treating the experts of the Fiery Phoenix tribe. He's not free. After he's done, we will treat you well. Evelyn's pressed his voice. Fiery Phoenix tribe. Zi Yarrow wore a strange face, her eyes interested as if she knew this race. The Fiery Phoenix tribe is very famous in the sea domain of Nihility. The rumors say that it's similar to the Dragon Lizard clan. They are the later generations of an absolute beginning creature. Anyway, the Fiery Phoenix tribe is fiercer. The Fiery Phoenix tribe has one territory ancestor. They are dependent on the mysterious Sky clan too, but they are more powerful than our Heavenly Eye clan. Evelyn's explained to Shi Yang, the Fiery Phoenix tribe's territory is pretty close to our Heavenly Eye clan. After we followed the mysterious Sky clan, they told us to create a good relationship with the Fiery Phoenix tribe. Our Heavenly Eye clan and the other smaller races around here consider the Fiery Phoenix tribe our master. We will do what they ask us to do. Shi Yang was interested in neither the competition between the small clans nor the treat of the Heavenly Eye clan's chief. He shook his head and waved his hands. We don't want to bother your chief. We are just passing by for a while. I'm glad to see you guys again. We've traveled for a long time. We're really tired. If you don't mind, we want to stay there to cultivate for a while. Moshe was smart enough to understand. She hurriedly nodded. Right, you should rest first. After you recover, we will come to see you. Then, she grabbed her two seniors and took their juniors to leave. Why are you so hurried? After leaving the ravine, Evelyn's was a little discontent, rolling his eyes at his sister. We made an agreement with him that year. I was afraid that he would forget it, so I was about to remind him. Why did you act hastily? They want to have some private time. You idiots. You don't have good vision, smiled Moshe. Hearing her, Evelyn's and Adams understood the situation. Since Shi Yang was still there, they shouldn't be hurried, though. Oh hey, the Fiery Phoenix tribe experts came here again. What's the matter? Evelyn's wore a dark, complicated face. The Heavenly Eye clan and the Fiery Phoenix tribe were similar, they were both dependent on the mysterious Sky clan. However, the Heavenly Eye clan was a lot weaker than the Fiery Phoenix tribe. Thus, the Fiery Phoenix tribe had deemed themselves as the leader of the territories around this area. It was true that the Fiery Phoenix tribe had helped the Heavenly Eye clan subdue the surrounding small races. However, they didn't do that for nothing. They had asked for many flaming crystal mines in the Heavenly Eye clan's territory. The members of the Fiery Phoenix tribe cultivated fire power Upanishad, so they had already dug all the flaming crystal ores in their territory. They had asked most of the territories that were connected to the Fiery Phoenix tribe for the flaming crystals too. The Fiery Phoenix tribe didn't have an alliance with the Heavenly Eye clan before. However, since they were both dependent on the mysterious Sky clan and the Fiery Phoenix tribe had helped the Heavenly Eye clan threaten their enemies, they naturally used their tentacles to reach the Heavenly Eye clan's territory and ask the Heavenly Eye clan to offer them the mines full of ores. This time, the experts of the Fiery Phoenix tribe had come with many mine slaves. They were about to exploit their new mines. They didn't bring enough mine slaves. They want us to provide them with mine slaves to exploit the flaming crystals, said Adams with a forced smile. They've asked for too much. We've already given them mines and now, they want even the mine slaves. They haven't helped us much or fought against the others for us. They just yelled at those enemy forces. And they've asked too much, Evelyn snorted. We're both dependent on the mysterious Sky clan. They didn't mean harm to us. In this area, the Fiery Phoenix tribe is the strongest clan. Sigh, we have no choice. They have a territory ancestor and their echelon in the mysterious Sky clan is also higher than us, sighed Adams. Forget it, Evelyn's knew that they didn't have a choice. They had to be subtly patient. Inside the ravine, after Evelyn's and his people left, Shi Yang smiled faintly. Well, talking about the Fiery Phoenix tribe, your face looked strange. Do you know them? After being in the sea domain of nihility, I got more knowledge. The fiery phoenix tribe? I ate their ancestor, Zi Yarrow said casually. Shi Yang understood that Zi Yarrow was Hui's clone, a part of Hui's soul. But now, after she had swallowed Hui's soul, she had considered herself Hui. She got all the memories from the absolute beginning era. The ancestor of the fiery phoenix tribe was also an absolute beginning creature. Why did you eat it? Shi Yang was curious. Zi Yarrow pondered for a while and then said, how much do you know about the absolute beginning era? You have 2 of Desolate's soul clones, don't you? Just the fragments of memories. I can't combine them. I know bits of things. I don't actually know that era's situation in detail, said Shi Yang begrudgingly. Looking at him, Zi Yarrow beamed, then I should tell you the details. You should have a good grasp of it. Shi Yang smiled. He wanted to find a quiet place to talk to Zi Yarrow about that extinct epoch to erase the mist in his mind. It was a magical time where creatures had giant bodies. In that era, when the creatures were born, they already reached ethereal god realm. We didn't need to cultivate like the current races from king god realm to ethereal god realm. We started with ethereal god realm. We were lucky that the earth and heaven energy at that time was extremely thick. It was easy to cultivate and make fast progress. There was no territory in that era. The entire world was an infinite sea of stars with billions of planets. There was no space barrier. The sea of stars didn't have a border. It could elongate forever. No one knew if it had ended. Until our era ended, no one ever found the end of the vast sea of stars. The earth and heaven could produce divine weapons in that area. Take your Skyfall Star River as an example. It was actually a piece of the sea of stars. It had slowly gained consciousness and soul energy. Chen found it. He had refined for thousands of years and made it Skyfall Star River. Unfortunately, Chen had fallen in that war. The Skyfall Star River went missing. You found it unexpectedly. Zi Yarrow told him the magnificent intimidation of that era. Why did you fight against each other? What was that war for? Shi Yang squinted and asked seriously. To be stronger, of course. Chapter 1545 Absolute Beginning. Chapter 1545 Absolute Beginning. In our time, there weren't countless creatures like there are now. There were just several thousand of us and most of us didn't have a high realm. However, in that era, the creatures were still much stronger than they are now. In that era, each piece of the sea of stars belonged to one creature. Each existence had its own territory. The territories of the weak ones got thin earth and heaven energy and poor natural resources. The experts claimed the best areas with rich resources. In the beginning, they would fight from time to time, but it wouldn't become a large-scale war. They had lived like that for so many years. The powerful creatures had reached extremely high realms like second or even third sky of territory ancestor realm. Later on, all the experts were stuck at third sky of territory ancestor realm. No one knew how to cultivate to advance further. All the intimidating creatures were trapped. They couldn't break through again. After that, a rumor arose saying that the more essence blood of the absolute beginning creatures we gathered, the greater the chance that we could break the bottleneck to complete ourselves and enter the ultimate realm that no one knows. Some believed in it and began to kill the lower realm creatures to take their blood to improve their own blood. Unexpectedly, it worked. That pioneer became significantly stronger. It began to slaughter the weaker creatures to complete its blood and get stronger. That trend expanded like a monstrous fire. No one could stop it in the vast sea of stars. All the absolute beginning creatures joined it to become stronger or to just defend themselves. They murdered each other. The strong sucked the blood of the weak and they could be killed by another stronger expert. The universe that had been calm for so many years shattered because of the constant battles for tens of thousands of years. So many planets broke. The world was destroyed. Races went extinct. The creatures that could survive were all the strongest. However, to enter the world behind the territory ancestor realm, the competition hadn't ended yet. And the result was that when the absolute beginning era ended, most of the creatures were killed. The survivors were hurt severely and left in a long coma. Desolate, Devour, and Hui were wounded experts that had to sleep for a long time. When they woke up, it was another era. Zi Yarrow explained the cause of the Great War in her era. She didn't talk about the details of the last, brutal battle. However, Shi Yang could imagine how horribly tremendous it was. All was because of a rumor? Shi Yang was surprised. It was not a rumor. It was true. We've proven it. Absorbing the absolute beginning blood from others is how we can actually complete ourselves and evolve our life form to reach another height. If it wasn't been true, there would have been no tragic fights like that. Our time wouldn't have ended, said Zi Yarrow. Is it true that they could absorb absolute beginning blood to transform? Shi Yang was amazed. Rumor said that before the dawn of this earth and heaven there was only one dormant creature in the universe. It was called absolute beginning. No one knew what it actually was or how it was created. They said that it had created the world. It was the fountain of everything and the reason we have the world today. Legends say that after the world was created, it had used all the energy so it had fallen. Its body exploded into so many pieces that developed into absolute beginning creatures. The absolute beginning blood in our bodies is the pure blood from absolute beginning. We can absorb each other to slowly develop and become absolute beginning creatures. We guessed that if we got all the absolute beginning blood, we could become absolute beginning. It's absurd, Shi Yang shook his head. No. It's not absurd. I believe it's real. Zi Yarrow pulled a stern face and looked at Shi Yang deep in his eyes. The power Upanishad symbol tower you got is the key to opening the absolute beginning gateway. When you open the absolute beginning gateway, you can enter absolute beginning's head and get the ultimate power Upanishad, the source and the beginning of creatures. Shi Yang was dazed. The power Upanishad symbol tower is the key to opening the absolute beginning gateway? Is that true? The power Upanishad symbol tower was made of the piece of absolute beginning's skull. It was really magical. Rumors said that only the power Upanishad symbol tower could open the absolute beginning gateway where there were the utmost powers. Zi Yarrow didn't sound like she was joking. That's why all creatures wanted to take the power Upanishad symbol tower. So the absolute beginning gateway is real? Do you know where it is? Shi Yang wore an awkward face. I do. In fact, our last battle had taken place right in front of the absolute beginning gateway. Because the rumor also said that after we got enough absolute beginning blood, we could break the gateway directly to enter absolute beginning's skull. Unfortunately, Desolate was the strongest at that time, but he couldn't reach it. The power Upanishad symbol tower hadn't been finished at that time. When the new era started, it was finished. It's the key. If we got the power Upanishad symbol tower at that time, we would have been able to open the absolute beginning gateway, cried Zi Yao. Her explanation of the absolute beginning era, the power Upanishad symbol tower, and absolute beginning had opened a new door for Shi Yang and showing Head the views of a totally contrasting era. Zi Yarrow had helped him fill his incomplete memories. Finally, he got some knowledge and impressions of that era. Absolute beginning scripture and images had become clear in his co-soul. They were the images of an earth-shaking war. It was the bloody battle between Desolate and so many giant absolute beginning creatures. All of them were extremely brutal and gory. Shi Yang closed his eyes and shivered. He was feeling the mind-shaking memory of the war. He wanted to feel the terrifying, ruthless intimidation, and more secrets of that era. After a long time, he escaped those haunting images. With a heavy face, he couldn't say a word. You believe me now? Asked Zi Yao. After nodding, Shi Yang sighed emotionally. Yeah, I do. You can't fake memories. The battles that Desolate previously joined are deep in my head. Right in this ravine, Shi Yang and Zi Yarrow discussed the secrets of the absolute beginning era and many legends of that time. Until he felt the changes in his acupuncture points, he said, I need to refine energy. Zi Yarrow smiled brightly. I know you cultivate exotic power Upanishads. Yeah, you should take these people. Kill them to increase your power. The divine halos covered Neptune, Keith, Oliver, and some experts of the 5 clans and delivered them to Shi Yang. Shi Yang grinned. He didn't try to be polite and just grabbed Neptune and the others, pulling them into his territory. He then used the devouring power Upanishad to swallow them all. At the same time, Zi Yarrow used her soul consciousness, which was the seven-colored divine light, to tie Jor-Ni and Xiao Lai. You guys aren't members of the 7 clans. Your blood is very suitable for my imprint. I will print my seal in your soul altar. If you cooperate, you may live. Otherwise, you will perish shortly. She didn't even give Xiao Lai and Jor-Ni the right to talk and just took them back into her world. Shi Yang and Zi Yarrow used their energy to refine Neptune, Xiao Lai, Jor-Ni, and the others in the ravine. Temple, Heavenly Eye Clan's holy land, outside the ravine. Evelyn's, Adam's, and Moshe united after several months. Oh wow, little YA, you've broken through to the new realm? Ethereal God realm? Moshe cried in surprise and looked at Evelyn's apprentice, her face puzzled. Evelyn smiled. I called you here also for that. For little YA? Yeah, Evelyn's nodded and said to little YA, show your uncle and aunt that red crystal. Little YA carefully took out the flaming crystal that Zi Yarrow had gifted her and held it tight. It had been several months since she began to use this little crystal to gather God power. She had broken through to ethereal God realm. Previously, Shi Yang said that the energy from the flaming crystal could increase her progress 10 times. Also, it could be like that until the immortal realm. She didn't buy it. Little Yi thought the same and her teacher Evelyn's was skeptical. However, she believed it now. From that little flaming crystal, she could feel the endless energy. Here's the crystal. Shi Yang's woman gave it to me. The power inside is incredible. Evelyn's looked excited. However, that's not the most important thing about it. Little YA, show them. Little YA hurried to urge energy. The red-orange flame arose from her little palm. They could see a dancing flame inside the crystal, which then turned into a phoenix bathing in the fiery flame that looked so real. That phoenix raised its head and spread its wings, releasing extreme heat waves as if it wanted to get rid of the crystal. Adams and Moshe were bewildered. Adams was bewildered for a while and became shaken. It's similar to the totem of the fiery phoenix tribe. It's the reason why I called you up. Evelyn's took a deep breath, his face serious. Because it's so similar to the holy totem of the fiery phoenix tribe and it has terrifying energy. I'm doubtful. I want you to help me with this. It's... Moshe and Adams exchanged looks. They didn't know what happened. However, at this moment, the chief of the Heavenly Eye clan was welcoming a group of fiery phoenix tribe experts led by a senile old man. This expert was the pride of the fiery phoenix tribe, the only territory ancestor. The chest plate of his beautiful armor had the totem of a phoenix bathing in fire. As the chief of the Heavenly Eye clan respectfully received them, the old man screamed crazily as soon as he landed on the surface of the planet. He ditched everybody behind and headed directly to Evelyn's temple. Chapter 1546, Fire-Bathing Phoenix. Chapter 1546, Fire-Bathing Phoenix. Underscore what happened with Patriarch Chauncey. A middle-aged man of the fiery phoenix tribe looked surprised. He couldn't help but turn to Cornet, the chief of the Heavenly Eye clan, his eyes turning sharp. What the heck is your Heavenly Eye clan doing? What did you do to make the Patriarch like that? Cornet and the elders of the Heavenly Eye clan were bewildered. They were anxious as they didn't know what was going on. If something trivial you did enraged Patriarch Chauncey. The voice of the fiery phoenix tribe middle-aged man was threatening. Cornet's changed his visage. He looked further and found that it was Evelyn's temple that Chauncey had aimed at. They were so frightened. Move. Let's see what's going on over there. The warriors of the fiery phoenix tribe left Cornet's team behind. They turned into jets of lights and shot towards Evelyn's temple. There were many young warriors of the Heavenly Eye clan that came to worship the statues around. They saw the shooting flames fall on one of the temples. They were panic-stricken as they tried to see what had just happened. OF*CK. It's the members of the fiery phoenix tribe again, someone cursed indignantly. My family has 3 abundant flaming crystal mines. They robbed us without a proper explanation. Those fiery phoenix tribe clansmen are all hot-tempered. They often mess things up in our territory. They're such a pain in the ass. Let alone you guys, we are in the same situation. What else can we do? The fiery phoenix tribe is so powerful. Chaunceys at the territory ancestor realm. In the mysterious Sky Clan's point of view, they are heavier than us. Of course, we can't compete with them. We have to endure. Sigh, we have to be patient all the time. Those members of the fiery phoenix tribe are too haughty. They've claimed our mines and even asked us to find the mine slaves for them. If it continues that way, it will be even worse than before. The fiery phoenix tribe got it done on their own. I think the mysterious Sky Clan didn't know that. If we can report it to the key members of the mysterious Sky Clan, I think we can subside the fiery phoenix tribe's effects. There is no use. The mysterious Sky Clan will only consider the fiery phoenix tribe's voice. They don't care about us. They have the territory ancestor, so the mysterious Sky Clan has to give them face. What do we have? It's unimaginable that we can be dependent on the mysterious Sky Clan. What could we ask for me? Many members of the fiery phoenix tribe turned into jets of flames and naded on the Holy Land. Seeing them, the warriors of the mysterious Sky Clan cursed under their breath. Dirty mouths. Right at this moment came a smirk from a member of the fiery phoenix tribe from a jet of fire. The red-orange flames like fireballs fell from the sky and exploded right in the middle of the clamoring crowd. The young warriors of the Heavenly Eye Clan were charred and wounded. Damn! They dare to attack us right in our holy land. The members of the Heavenly Eye Clan couldn't help but scream and roar. The disciples of the Big Elders wanted to counterattack. At this moment, Corner, the chief of the Heavenly Eye Clan, landed and rolled his eyes at them. They then shut their mouths and stopped acting rashly in front of the chief. However, their outrageous eyes were still fixed on one fiery phoenix tribe warrior, a haughty young man at the incipient god realm and with long, red hair. He was Chaunce's apprentice called Hong Fei, who belonged to the aristocratic class of the fiery phoenix tribe. Hong Fei hovered in the air and looked down on the young warriors of the Heavenly Eye Clan while smirking. After Corner came to Hong Fei, he shouted at his fellows and smiled to calm Hong Fei down. Hong Fei laughed loudly and swung his hands. He didn't even give Cornet face, walking directly to the temple Chauncey had landed. He ditched Corner at his spot. Cornet's face turned from pale to white as he tried to suppress his anger. He rolled his eyes at his fellows and left hurriedly. The members of the Heavenly Eye Clan under Hong Fei's attack were so outraged. They felt so humiliated. Hong Fei disdaining their chief made them more irritated than when their bodies got hurt. He was looking down on their entire race. Shortly after, Cornet and the elders of the Heavenly Eye Clan, Hong Fei, and the warriors of the fiery phoenix tribe had gathered by Iveline's temple. At this moment, Chaunce's eyes were so hot. He was holding a flaming crystal with both hands, his body shaking in excitement. The elders of the Heavenly Eye Clan, including Iveline's, Moshe, and Adams, grimaced. They looked at Chauncey indignantly. "Master, it's mine." Little Ya mumbled and rolled her eyes at Chauncey of the fiery phoenix tribe. "This old man doesn't know what's right or wrong. He didn't say anything and just snatched my thing. Why is he so arrogant?" Chauncey had suddenly landed in front of Iveline's, Moshe, and Adams and snatched the flaming crystal gifted by Ziyao. Then, he ignored the questions from Iveline's team and remained completely absorbed in the fire-bathing phoenix inside the crystal. He didn't even bat his eyes at Iveline's team. Hong Fei and the members of the fiery phoenix tribe saw Chauncey hold the flaming crystal with both hands and mumble to himself. Hong Fei was bewildered at first. But then, the dancing phoenix inside the flaming crystal had dazed him. He stammered, It's our ancestors' totem. It's a large piece of a broken soul altar. My gosh. How could it be? How could it be?" At this moment, all the members of the fiery phoenix tribe were frightened. The fire energy on their bodies became uncontrollable. Chauncey woke up from his excitement. He clutched the flaming crystal and took a deep breath to calm down his restless mind. He then asked Iveline's, "Where did you get this flaming crystal?" He didn't sound like he wanted to return the thing. He wanted to take it and find out its source. If Iveline's team didn't give him a satisfied answer, he would kill them all for the totem of his ancestor. If Iveline's got the crystal from an illegitimate source, swish, swish, swish. The scorching heat increased in the entire temple. Chauncey became a massive fireball. In this moment, the fiery phoenix on his garment was revived. It was slowly gathering energy. As Chauncey was gazing at Iveline's, he felt horror-struck as if Chauncey would burn him into ashes in just a blink of an eye. Cornet was frightened. He screamed continuously, "Iveline's, do not conceal. Do not conceal anything. You tell him all that you know. We are all dependent on the mysterious Sky Clan. As long as we make ourselves clear, I'm sure Precursor Chauncey won't trouble us." He was scared, so he had to mention the mysterious Sky Clan. He hoped that Chauncey would give the mysterious Sky Clan face and not act rashly. "Don't worry. If you tell the truth, I won't trouble you," Chauncey squinted. "But if you hide anything, haha. Even the mysterious Sky Clan won't be able to stop me from finishing you. This flaming crystal is a piece of our ancestors' broken soul altar. It's our legendary sacred item. We must know where you got it." Iveline's was shaken hard. He considered and then said, "It was from a friend's wife. She gifted it to my student. We didn't know that this flaming crystal was related to your ancestor. We didn't know anything. Of course, you knew nothing. Otherwise, you wouldn't have dared to take it out. Haha, I didn't want to go to your Heavenly Eye Clan. I didn't expect to get such a big harvest." Chauncey laughed contentedly, fire winding around his body. He didn't linger and just spoke resolutely, "Where is the one who gave you this crystal? Tell me the truth. I won't trouble you. Otherwise, you know what will happen to you. Spit it out." Cornet was so restless as if he had a flame burning his heart. He was afraid that Chauncey would spray his flame of anger at the entire Heavenly Eye Clan. Seeing Iveline's hesitate, he urged, "You don't want to put our clan in danger, do you? Iveline's, for your teacher's sake, tell us the truth. Hong Fei, barricade the Heavenly Eye Clan's holy land." Now, Chauncey ordered and foreowned. The warriors of the fiery phoenix tribe scattered immediately, turning into bands of fire and hovering about the holy land of the Heavenly Eye Clan. Most of them were at profound realms with at least 6 or 7 experts at the immortal realm. They instantly set up a scorching sea of fire above the Heavenly Eye Clan's holy land. The fiery band temporarily sealed the Heavenly Eye Clan's holy land entirely. No outsider could get in there. At the same time, the elders inside the Holy Land couldn't get out unless they tore that flaming barrier. The members of the Heavenly Eye Clan surrounding the Holy Land were frightened. They hastily sent information to their families and told them that the experts of the fiery phoenix tribe had intruded on their Holy Land. Instantly, all the families and forces in the Heavenly Eye Clan were shaken. The experts then gathered at their max speed. They had to risk their lives to protect the glory of the Holy Land. They understood that they couldn't resist the fiery phoenix tribe, so they tried to contact the mysterious Sky Clan. Too bad for them, the sound stone that could contact the mysterious Sky Clan was inside the Holy Land. As their Holy Land was sealed, they couldn't contact the mysterious Sky Clan. The Holy Land of the Heavenly Eye Clan. Hong Fei and the experts of the fiery phoenix tribe left and returned quickly. Hong Fei grinned, "Master, we have control of the sound stone connecting to the mysterious Sky Clan. They can't report anything to mysterious Sky Clan." This man had followed Chauncey for years. He understood his teacher well. He understood his teacher's idea from just a wink. "Well done." Chauncey nodded. As he knew the situation was under control and the Heavenly Eye Clan couldn't wiggle, he turned to Iveline's one more time. A dim flame arose in his eyes. "Now, tell me, where did you get this flaming crystal?" Chapter 1547, Court Death. Chapter 1547, Court Death. Chauncey led the members of the fiery phoenix tribe to the small ravine near the Heavenly Eye Clan's holy land. Cornet and the experts of the Heavenly Eye Clan couldn't avoid this. They had to come as Chauncey had requested them. More than 100 warriors at high realms gathered outside the ravine where Iveline's, Adam's, and Moshe's late teacher used to live. When they got there, Ivelines looked grimaced. He was so reluctant and just stood still. He didn't want to disclose Shi Yang and Zi Yaro's spot, but he didn't have a choice. He couldn't pay the price of his race's destruction to protect Shi Yang and Zi Yaro. Chauncey also said that he had only wanted to know the flaming crystal's identity. He didn't want to kill her. Ivelines could only think positively. After he took them here, he planned to get in there and talk to Shi Yang and Zi Yaro first. However, after walking one step towards the ravine, he was shaken hard. A tender but irresistible force like a river drowned him and pushed him away. Even though he was at second sky of immortal realm, Ivelines couldn't believe it. He'd tried several times but couldn't get through it. Reluctantly, he backed off dispiritedly and shook his head. The barrier outside the ravine is modified. I can't get in there. Precursor Chauncey, please take a look, asked Cornet. Okay, let me break the barrier, sneered the only territory ancestor of the fiery phoenix tribe, striding towards the ravine. Boom! A massive fiery phoenix flew out of the sea of fire above Chauncey's head. That fiery phoenix was made of pure energy and soul consciousness from Chauncey. It used his blood and it was created by the secret technique of fire power Upanishad. It could burn everything into ashes. Boom! Boom! The fiery phoenix released its furious flames and burned the barriers, which created loud noises. Chauncey wore a calm and relaxed face, waiting for the barrier to melt down. After that, he was going to storm into the ravine. Everybody waited with different visages. The members of the fiery phoenix tribe wore haughty faces. They didn't really consider the Heavenly Eye clan worth anything. Thus, they thought that the Heavenly Eye clan's friends wouldn't be fierce. They thought that they could get into the ravine soon. Ivelines and the others were restless and insecure. They were fearful as they didn't know what to tell Shi Yang when they met. Time flew quietly. After 1 hour, Patriarch Chauncey of the fiery phoenix tribe looked stern. As that fiery phoenix was burning for more than 1 hour, regardless of what kind of barrier it was, it should have melted already. However, he recognized that the barrier didn't look like it consumed all the energy to resist the heat. Chauncey felt that something was wrong. He vaguely guessed that the warriors behind the barrier were also at the territory ancestor realm too. Only if they were at the territory ancestor realm, Chauncey couldn't burn all the energy of the barrier shortly. When this thought came to him, he became cautious. A moment later, the flame was still burning, but Chauncey had lost his patience. A beautiful woman walked through the flaming barrier. It was a beautiful woman whose face was filled with bizarre but pretty tattoos. She wore a cold face and she had a mark of a cyan snake on her forehead. As soon as she emerged, Chauncey was frightened. He couldn't help but scream, "Jorenai, how could it be you?" The sea of fire retreated. Jorenai of the secret pattern tribe walked to Chauncey, her face cold and her eyes showing a murderous aura. "Chauncey, what are you doing here? Will it be interesting to start a battle here?" Jorenai and Judy of the mysterious Sky Clan were sworn sisters, but the secret pattern tribe wasn't dependent on the mysterious Sky Clan. In the sea domain of Nihility, the secret pattern tribe was really powerful. It was just behind the Seven Great Clan and it was much stronger than the Fiery Phoenix tribe. Similarly, Jorenai was more intimidating than Chauncey, whether they were talking about power or echelons. Chief Cornet of the Heavenly Eye clan was frightened too. He had never met Jorenai, but he knew her name. He knew that she was a fierce warrior with a noble position. Seeing Jorenai walk out of the ravine, Cornet was both happy and frightened. He continuously gave Ivelines signals to ask him to clear the situation. Ivelines and his disciples were dumbstruck and gawking. They remembered clearly that they had brought Shi Yang and Zi Yaro into the ravine. How come Jorenai walked out from there? Ivelines pondered for a while. Suddenly, his face changed as he shouted, "What did you do to Shi Yang?" He looked at Jorenai furiously as he thought that Jorenai had killed Shi Yang and Zi Yaro in the ravine. Ivelines was so regretful that he blamed himself for that incident. Jorenai oddly looked at Ivelines. She curled her lips but said nothing. "Jorenai, I shouldn't ask anything, but this flaming crystal is very important. I want to know the details." Hesitating for a while, Chauncey proactively became humble. He didn't sound arrogant anymore. He didn't dare to strut around. If you know the situation, please tell me. Did you kill the other two? After Eveline screamed his question, Chauncey understood the situation. He knew Shi Yang's name. He thought that Jiao had chased Shi Yang until she came here. He thought that because she walked out alone, she might have killed Shi Yang and the other. No matter what, Jiao was famous due to her territory ancestor realm. Perhaps, her competence was one level higher than his. Jiao looked at Chauncey and said, "For Judy's sake, I suggest that you give back the flaming crystal to that little girl and take your team out of Musing Rain territory as quickly as possible. You shouldn't concern yourself with that crystal anymore." Hearing her, all the members of the Fiery Phoenix tribe discolored in fear. Chauncey's face gradually darkened as he snorted, "Jiao, I humbled myself. You shouldn't disdain me. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Even if we have to fight, I'm not scared. You think you can kill me?" As they were both at the territory ancestor realm and Chauncey was slightly weaker, he didn't think that Jiao could defeat him. He thought that Jiao deliberately threatened him, which had enraged him. "You think I'm threatening you?" Jiao smiled. The cyan snake mark on her forehead twitched strangely. "You mean we're good?" snorted Chauncey. Jiao didn't want to explain further. She turned to look at the ravine behind her as she said, "The barrier is lifted. If you want to get in, I won't stop you. I just hope that you can think clearly whether you want to get in there or not." "Why wouldn't I?" Chauncey was confident. He urged his fire power Upanishad and became a flaming man, strolling towards the ravine. Many members of the Fiery Phoenix tribe and the Heavenly Eye clan curiously watched him. They tried to guess what Jiao meant as they didn't know the situation. "What did you do to Shi Yang?" Eveline shouted at Jiao. Jiao glanced at him, her face bitter. "What could I do to him?" Eveline was surprised and screamed, "You're at first sky of territory ancestor realm. How could you not do anything to him? Is he stronger than you?" As people were very surprised, Chauncey walked into the ravine and Jiao stayed outside. The members of the Fiery Phoenix tribe and the Heavenly Eye clan found that it was very strange. They tried to look through the cliff and listen to any commotion from there. Inside the ravine, Shi Yang was still cultivating, his eyes closed. Ziyaro opened her eyes and watched Chauncey, a big cluster of fire, come. She smiled gently and squinted to assess him. She nodded tenderly, at the territory ancestor realm. "You already activated the absolute beginning blood. You have some value, though." Chauncey wore a cold face. "You're the one who gave my ancestors' piece of broken soul altar away? Where did you get that?" "Where?" Ziyaro smiled as bright as sunshine. "Of course, from your ancestor. I killed your ancestor and took its absolute beginning blood and everything else. Yeah, it's simple like that. So, how did I get it, you say?" Hearing her, Chauncey was scared out of his wits. He observed Ziyaro and found snakes moving and twisting inside her eyes. An extremely terrifying aura diffused and filled the entire ravine. "Gosh!" Chauncey screeched inside the ravine. He finally recognized how fierce the beautiful woman standing in front of him was. He believed Ziyaro immediately. The absolute beginning creature that had killed and eaten up his ancestor was right here. In this instant shock, he knew that Jiao had offered him a good suggestion. He regretted deeply that he shouldn't enter this gorge. He shouldn't court death himself. Unfortunately, at that moment, the ravine was sealed one more time. He didn't have a chance to escape his fate. That small amount of absolute beginning blood can recover my power a bit. "So, you're going to die." Ziyaro smiled. She conjured billions of dazzling divine light and turned into snakes that coiled Chauncey and pulled him to her world of divine light. People outside the ravine heard Chauncey screech terrifyingly and slowly subside. Everybody shivered and stayed put. All of them, including the members of the Fiery Phoenix tribe, Hong Fei, Chauncey's apprentice, and even the chief of the Heavenly Eye clan didn't move. A warrior that could kill Chauncey easily was someone they could never imagine. What kind of peerless demon was hiding in that ravine? Swoosh! The flaming crystal flew out of the ravine and hovered in front of little YA. Kid, I gave you this. It belongs to you. Next time, don't let people snatch it from you. Z Yarrow's light laughter came from the ravine. She then changed the topic. Jorenai, kill all the fiery phoenix tribe warriors out there for me. We don't want them to babble about this. No problem, master, replied Jorenai. As the entire Heavenly Eye clan was surprised and the fiery phoenix tribe warriors were fearful, she slowly took action and erased the souls of Hong Fei and the fiery phoenix tribe warriors who had visited the Heavenly Eye clan this time. One after another, they were all killed. Chapter 1548, Great Shock. Chapter 1548, Great Shock. Cornet and the Heavenly Eye clan fellows watched Jorenai kill the others in horror. In several minutes, she had finished murdering Hong Fei and the warriors of the fiery phoenix tribe. All the members of the Heavenly Eye clan gathered in this area kept their mouths shut. No one dared to make a sound. The fiery phoenix tribe was an extremely large force among the forces under the mysterious Sky Clan's protection. Compared to the Heavenly Eye clan, they were much more tremendous. However, even though they were a powerful force, Chauncey at the Territory Ancestor Realm was killed quickly and met the same result as his fellows. This shocked the entire Heavenly Eye clan. Cornet and Ivelines were filled with fear. They shivered when they looked at the ravine. They all heard Z Yarrow's advice and Jorenai address her as master. Z Yarrow was Jorenai's master. As Jorenai was the strongest expert of the secret pattern tribe and Judy's best friend, her reputation was well known in the entire sea domain of nihility. Her realm was high, her identity was noble, and she was even stronger than Chauncey. She now had a master. Who could become her master? Cornet looked at Ivelines with the hope of receiving an explanation from him. Ivelines just gave a bitter smile and shook his head. Gosh. Chauncey and the members of the fiery phoenix tribe were all killed here. What should we do? Once the experts of the mysterious Sky clan find out about this, they won't forgive us, sighed an elder of the Heavenly Eye clan. He thought the sky was about to fall on their heads. Cornet maliciously threw him a glance to signal him to shut up. Then, he stood with Ivelines by Jorenai and looked at her. The corpses of the fiery phoenix tribe warriors hadn't cooled yet. Jorenai stood by those corpses and wore a cold and sinister smile. You guys can tell Judy or Han Tien that I killed Chauncey and the fiery phoenix tribe warriors. Judy and Han Tien can come find me to talk. The Heavenly Eye clan was shaken because of her words. Han Tien? Judy? They were the two territory ancestor of the mysterious Sky clan, the characters with top power. After they became a dependent force of the mysterious Sky clan, they didn't have a chance to see these two territory ancestors. The high-echelon experts of the mysterious Sky clan that Cornet used to meet were Tu Shiqi and Ya Yun. They thought that Judy and Han Tien were at the peak of the pyramid, the legendary existences that they couldn't meet. My master said that they wanted to stay here for a while. Yeah, if you can contact the mysterious Sky clan, you can tell Judy and Han Tien about this and ask them to come here, Jorenai said with a cold, natural face. If they know, they will come personally. Don't worry. They won't trouble your Heavenly Eye clan. Then, Jorenai left. She pierced through the barrier sealing the ravine and disappeared. Ivelines, how do you know those fierce experts? Why didn't you tell us earlier? Said Cornet through his gritted teeth. The elders of the Heavenly Eye clan gathered and asked Ivelines, Adams, and Moshe. They wanted to know Shi Yang's and Z Yarrow's identity and the real situation. Little Ya held the flaming crystal. She was stimulated but she didn't know the reason. She looked at the ravine and said thanks from the bottom of her heart. Now she knew how precious this little crystal was. Even the patriarch Chauncey had come for it. She was thrilled as she got such a treasure. Chief. The fire seal the fiery phoenix tribe had set up is broken. A young man of the Heavenly Eye clan ran to them excitedly to tell them the updated situation. Cornet nodded, pondered, and spoke to Ivelines, contact the mysterious Sky clan and tell them the details. I hope it what Jorenai had said will happen and the mysterious Sky clan won't blame us. Everybody felt safe unknowingly. Jiao and I was strong enough to talk to Han Tian and Judy. Moreover, her mysterious master could make Han Tian and Judy neglect Chauncey's death, which prevented them from punishing the Heavenly Eye clan. Inside the ravine, Shi Yang still closed his eyes to cultivate, to filter and refine Neptune's and the others' soul altars and energy. At this moment, the power Upanishad symbol tower was moving deep inside his soul. Waves of fierce energy emitted from the tower. So many mysterious absolute beginning symbols were glowing on that power Upanishad symbol tower. Shi Yang was using energy taken from Neptune and the others to refine a new original symbol. Thus, it took him more time for this cultivation session. Beautiful Zi Yarrow was sitting on 7-colored crystal throne and using her power to refine Chauncey. At this moment, she opened her eyes to look at Jiao and I and say, "Well done." Jiao and I bowed to her slightly, her face sour. "Thank you for your compliment, Master." Squinting, Zi Yarrow said indifferently, "You feel discontent as you have to serve me even though you have the territory ancestor realm, don't you?" Before I lost my power, I was at 3rd sky of territory ancestor. I was about to reach the ultimate realm. It's good for your power Upanishad comprehension to follow me. You have to know that I could have given you to Shi Yang so he could have swallowed you and Xiao Lai altogether. Jiao and I changed her visage and screamed, "Please forgive me, Master. Serve me well and I won't mistreat you. I will teach you the real power of your power Upanishad. I will help your secret incantation technique advance," said Zi Yarrow calmly. "You know secret incantation too?" Jiao and I's eyes brightened. The mysterious incantations in the world share some features. The secret incantation is also a technique involving curses and incantations. The secret incantation uses your natural drawings on your body as the conductor. It's awesome, isn't it? Zi Yarrow smiled coldly. "My body also has natural patterns that are more powerful and mysterious than yours. Thus, my knowledge of incantations is better than yours, for sure." Jiao and I was moved and she asked respectfully, "Master, please teach me." "Yeah, it sounds nice to my ears." Zi Yarrow nodded. "I kept you and Xiao Lai because your blood is suitable for me to carve my soul imprint. It's your opportunity. Don't think of it as a bad accident. Neptune had the worst accident." "I understood," Jiao and I replied happily. Mysterious Sky Clan. Forefather Dragon Lizard dashed to a mountain that pierced through the sky. He steadied in the hall of an imposing palace and hissed, "Dragon Lizard, asked to see Forefather Han Tian." Boom! A loud explosion came from the mountain peak, which shook the big mountain. After a while, Han Tian walked out from one of those majestic palaces. He smiled cheerfully, his face glowing in good health. "Congratulations. Finally, you've reached the territory ancestor realm. It seems that you've cultivated hard." Then, seeing Forefather Dragon Lizard, Han Tian's face darkened. "You got hurt." He saw dry bloodstains on Forefather Dragon Lizard's body and felt his strange conditions. "Yuan Zhu almost killed me." Forefather Dragon Lizard had dark eyes. "Right in Wavy River Star area. Yuan Zhu is an absolute beginning creature called Yuan. He has an extremely profound realm and he is utterly cunning and sinister." Forefather Dragon Lizard briefed the situation. "As I found it dangerous to stay there, I had to run away. I don't know what happened afterward." "Yuan Zhu." Han Tian pulled a stern face. Taking a deep breath, he said, "He's the oldest among us. Many of us have guessed that he's from the previous era, but we weren't so sure. Turns out it's so." Han Tian and Dragon Lizard discussed some secrets of that battle. Then, Han Tian ordered his subordinates to gather information. He wanted to know what had happened in Wavy River Star area. Shortly after, Judy returned. She came to see Han Tian and Dragon Lizard with a serious countenance. "I come with breaking news." Judy talked to Han Tian, Dragon Lizard, and some important officers of the mysterious Sky Clan. Yuan Zhu and Shi Yang fought in Wavy River Star area. They had almost reduced the entire territory to dust. They had cracked many territory barriers there. Yuan Zhu ran away. Shi Yang and his woman disappeared. Neptune, Xiao Lai, and Jiao and I went missing. No one knows where they are. Shi Yang and Yuan Zhu had a great fight. Han Tian couldn't understand it. He could fight Yuan Zhu? Yuan Zhu is at third sky of territory ancestor realm, it's true. I don't understand why Shi Yang suddenly became so fierce, said Judy with a forced smile. Strange. It's really strange. It should be something else. Unfortunately, all the participants are missing. We don't know the actual situation. Han Tian got a headache. While they were bewildered, Tu Shiqi and Yun came quickly. Tu Shiqi flew fast and shouted from a distance, his face strangely worried. The Heavenly Eye Clan sent important news. Heavenly Eye Clan? Han Tian looked puzzled. A small race that depends on us. Tu Shiqi wanted to give Shi Yang face, so we've accepted them. At this moment, the Fiery Phoenix tribe controls them. We rarely ask about their situations, said an elder. Since he knew that Han Tian wouldn't mind a small clan like the Heavenly Eye Clan, he had to provide more details. What's the news? Judy asked coldly. Shi Yang and Jiao are in Musing Rainstar area of the Heavenly Eye Clan. They're in the Holy Land of the Heavenly Eye Clan. And the woman is called Zi Yarrow. She killed Chauncey, and Jiao killed the members of the Fiery Phoenix tribe who paid the Heavenly Eye Clan a visit. Jiao told the Heavenly Eye Clan to tell us that she wants to meet forefather Han Tian and Judy in Heavenly Eye Clan's land. Tu Shiqi panted and told Han Tian and Judy the information he had just got. Han Tian and Judy exchanged looks. They nodded and then said in unison, "Good." Immediately, they wanted to go to the Heavenly Eye Clan. I also want to go there, said forefather Dragon Lizard. Yeah, we should go together. We will use the teleport formation leading to the Heavenly Eye Clan. Although it will consume a lot of energy to cross the star areas, it's just energy. We shouldn't care about energy too much. Judy was resolute. While talking, she headed towards the teleport formation. At second sky of territory ancestor realm, as long as they knew the direction, it wasn't difficult to teleport through star areas. Han Tian, Dragon Lizard, Tu Shiqi and his wife followed her. They had teleported all together with a group of experts to the Heavenly Eye Clan's land. Chapter 1549 Muster a Large Force. Chapter 1549 Muster a Large Force. How is it? How is it? Cornet was so worried. He stood by the massive soundstone together with many elders. When he saw Ivelines send the message, he felt his heart beat faster. So many members of the Fiery Phoenix tribe died here, including Patriarch Chauncey. I don't know how they will deal with this, sighed an elder worriedly. The Heavenly Eye Clan's elders were restlessly anxious. They guessed that the mysterious Sky Clan would be enraged and obliterate the entire Heavenly Eye Clan. To the mysterious Sky Clan, the Fiery Phoenix tribe was more important than their Heavenly Eye Clan. They believed that the mysterious Sky Clan would appreciate the Fiery Phoenix tribe more than their clan. Patriarch Chauncey represented a strong force among the forces under the mysterious Sky Clan. Would the mysterious Sky Clan stay idle after their expert was killed? We got their reply. Tu Shiqi got the message. He had to ask for Han Tian and Judy's direction. The two great territory ancestors are in the clan. We should expect bad news. Ivelines became restless like them as he didn't know how the mysterious Sky Clan would react. Senior, will we be hunted to the last member because of this? If that happens, we will be the greatest sinners in our clan. Mosha paled. She was panic-stricken as she envisioned the worst situation. No, I don't think so. It won't happen. Ivelines comforted her as if he actually comforted himself. I hope nothing will happen. I hope Jiao can bring us luck. As she and Judy are sworn sisters, they should have a good relationship, said Cornet. Everybody waited restlessly. After a while, the sound stone flashed as it received messages. Ivelines connected to the stone and his visage changed. Go to the teleport formation. Forefather Han Tian and Judy will come to our star directly. They may take the elders of the mysterious Sky Clan with them too. Hearing him, the entire Heavenly Eye Clan was horror-struck. Han Tian and Judy were the strongest existences in this entire sea of stars. They were the most powerful experts of the mysterious Sky Clan among the 7 great clan. Even the mysterious Sky Clan members couldn't have many chances to see them. And today, they had mustered a large force to come to the Heavenly Eye Clan for what? At this moment, they couldn't really think. They just moved towards the teleport formation that linked the Heavenly Eye Clan and the mysterious Sky Clan. Generally, every race that came to be dependent on the mysterious Sky Clan had to sign the treaty, which regulated that they had to establish the teleport formation to the Heavenly Eye Clan. However, it was a one-way formation. The mysterious Sky Clan could use the formation to enter the dependent race's territory, but the dependent race couldn't enter the mysterious Sky Clan's land through that formation. It was the gap between their position and power. In the sea domain of nihility, this operation was acceptable. Shortly after, the experts of the Heavenly Eye Clan gathered by that teleport formation to welcome Judy and Han Tien of the mysterious Sky Clan. They watched the formation, their faces complicated and anxious. They were afraid that Han Tien and Judy would massacre their clan as soon as they arrived. However, they understood that if Han Tien and Judy had such a plan, no matter how hard they tried, they were still going to be hunted to the last member. The Heavenly Eye Clan didn't have an expert strong enough to resist Judy and Han Tien. No one could battle even one of them. They could only receive their punishment. The teleport formation was powered by piles of divine crystals. After they had arrived for a while, a terrifying power that could tear the voice emitted from the formation. That fierce power terrified them all. They instinctively moved away from that formation. All of a sudden, dazzling halos radiated from the teleport formation. As the Heavenly Eye Clan warriors were dazzled, the experts walked out one after another from the formation. Cornet tried to suppress the pain in his eyes and yelled, "Welcome Forefather Han Tien and Judy. Welcome. Welcome." The members of the Heavenly Eye Clan shouted together and showed their most humble faces with the hope of making a good impression to the others. The halos slowly vanished and left Han Tien, Judy, and Dragon Lizard. Han Tien scanned through the entire members of the Heavenly Eye Clan and shook his head inwardly. There was no member of the Heavenly Eye Clan that could catch his attention. Then, he stopped at little YA and closed his eyes to sense for a while. "You have a good gemstone. It contains tremendous fire energy. Kid, you got lucky." Just like Chauncey, Han Tien also cultivated fire power Upanishad. He had a good knowledge and keen eyes on some special treasures in fire class. The flaming crystal that Zi Yarrow had given away was the only thing he thought was valuable. Except for that, the entire Heavenly Eye Clan didn't have anything or anyone worth his attention. A simple compliment from Han Tien made all eyes of the Heavenly Eye Clan fix on little YA. That flaming crystal again? Everybody wore strange faces. Chauncey had threatened them because of that crystal. And now, as soon as Forefather Han Tien came, the first thing he talked about was also about that crystal. How precious was it actually? Precursor Chauncey and the members of the Fiery Phoenix tribe died because of that flaming crystal. Cornet didn't dare to conceal anything. He explained the incident in detail. He didn't dare to miss even the small things. He hoped that his sincerity would make Han Tien's team show mercy. Han Tien and the others had their eyes brighten as they listened to Cornet. Sometimes, they shot meaningful looks to little YA. After a while, Han Tien grinned and said, "I think I know the reason." He shot Forefather Dragon Lizard a look. Forefather Dragon Lizard nodded and said, "Her coup was successful. At this moment, she's one of the absolute beginning creatures. This girlfriend of Shi Yang is much stronger than Yuan Zhu that year." He was one of the witnesses of the battle between Zi Yarrow and Hui, but he didn't know the result. And now, he knew Zi Yarrow had succeeded from Cornet's information. Her soul clone had replaced the host soul and absorbed all of Hui's memories and power. No wonder Chauncey died. As he messed with the one he shouldn't have, he had to face his consequences. Han Tien laughed loudly as if he didn't think Chauncey's death mattered. Hearing him, the Heavenly Eye Clan members' edgy nerves were relaxed. Only Forefather Dragon Lizard understood that currently, Shi Yang and Zi Yarrow were much more important than Chauncey. As long as Han Tien and Judy weren't foolish, they weren't going to challenge Shi Yang and Zi Yarrow to sink in endless trouble. Previously, when Forefather Dragon Lizard and Shi Yang met in the Sea of Annihilation and Feral had reported it to Judy, Judy had shown that the mysterious Sky Clan wasn't really concerned about Ling Mai. At that time, Judy had said that she hoped Forefather Dragon Lizard would befriend with Shi Yang. Forefather Dragon Lizard wasn't dumb. He knew what the mysterious Sky Clan wanted. It has been a long time since I last met Dior and I. It's good to see her and chat for a while. Judy smiled friendly and walked directly towards that ravine. Finally, Ivelines and the other two could exhale in relief. As they saw Han Tien and Judy's attitudes, they could confirm that they wouldn't take revenge on the Heavenly Eye Clan or kill them all. Right after that, Cornet and the members of the Heavenly Eye Clan used their most respectful manners to lead Han Tien, Judy, and the others to the gorge. On the way, Han Tien and Judy had used their souls to discuss for a while. They came to an agreement at the end. The ravine's entrance. Xiao Lai of the Heavenly Craftsman clan and Dior Ni of the Secret Pattern tribe were there. The two of them had the snake mark on their foreheads. They didn't change their countenances when they saw Han Tien and Judy come personally. Seeing the snake totem on Xiao Lai's and Dior Ni's foreheads, Han Tien and Judy understood the situation. They didn't dare to act haughty. Judy smiled gently from a distance. Dior Ni, why are you here? Oh, Grandmaster Xiao Lai, you're here too. It's really interesting. Judy, you're getting younger. Well, I think you've made up your mind on this. Dior Ni smiled at her and said, You, Han Tien, and Dragon Lizard get in there. The others stay outside. There's something that the juniors shouldn't know. What do you think? No problem, Judy beamed and said, Only I, Han Tien, and Dragon Lizard will go in. The others should stay outside. No one is allowed to say a word about things in the Heavenly Eye Clan this time. The members of the mysterious Sky Clan following them here pulled stern faces as they seriously memorized what Judy said. Right after that, as the warriors of the mysterious Sky Clan and the Heavenly Eye Clan were dazed, Han Tien, Dragon Lizard, and Judy followed Xiao Lai, Dior Ni to the ravine. Inside the ravine, Shi Yang, who had his eyes closed for a long time, opened his eyes and got up with a faint smile. Greetings, Precursor Han Tien and Precursor Judy. I have something that I want to tell you. That's why I asked you to come here. Please don't mind that. I used to talk to your teacher. He had stayed in the sea domain of nihility for a while before returning to desolate territory. I couldn't believe that he was gone. However, he raised a formidable apprentice like you. Yeah, he's worthy of his reputation as bloodthirsty. Han Tien guffawed and said straightforwardly, You shouldn't mind my good-for-nothing junior Ling Mai. I hope it won't be a knot between us. It won't, Shi Yang shook his head calmly, it has been a long time. Oh, how about this lady? Judy observed Zi Yarrow. Hesitating for a while, she spoke with a junior etiquette, It's our honor to meet the expert of the previous generation. I'm really glad. Zi Yarrow smiled and gave her a slight nod. You, little girl, do know how to talk sweetly. I know you're very interested in the Power Upanishad symbol tower. I won't fish in troubled waters. Yeah, if you gather enough energy or materials, I can help you refine an original symbol. Shi Yang was frank and direct. Of course, I won't do it for free. I will ask you to help me with something. When he mentioned the original symbol, Han Tien and Forefather Dragon Lizard's eyes brightened. They all looked eager and waited for Shi Yang to state his conditions. Forefather Dragon Lizard said directly, Even without the original symbol, I'm always willing to help you. If it wasn't for you, I would have died in Wavy River territory. Then, he shot Zi Yarrow a fearful look. You know it's not me. You don't have to be afraid of me anymore, smiled Zi Yarrow. Dragon Lizard nodded, I understand. However, it's carved deep in my mind. When I see you, I haven't gotten used to it yet. Chapter 1550 A New Original Symbol. Chapter 1550 A New Original Symbol. What are your conditions? Judy pulled a stern face and calmly looked at Shi Yang, waiting for his requests. The absolute beginning original symbol was extremely important to experts at their realm. An original symbol could help them see the most essence of their power Upanishad and provide them with a supernatural ability. Having an original symbol helped them enter a brand new realm. Whether it was Judy or Han Tian, they had a big desire for the original symbol. As Shi Yang agreed to offer conditions with them, they considered it as a positive sign already. Because Shi Yang had more choices, he could choose the Whitebone clan, the Phantom clan, or other races. However, they didn't have more choices. Only Shi Yang had the power Upanishad symbol tower. Moreover, with his and Zi Yaro's current competence, they couldn't rob them. Thus, they had to negotiate with him. Shi Yang gave Zi Yaro a look. She smiled, nodded, and said to Judy, "The condition is to help me find the absolute beginning blood crystal and the dark energy crystal. I think you know these two kinds of crystals. The mysterious Sky Clan should have some, I assume. Or you at least know where to find them." Listening to her, Han Tian and Judy looked surprised. It seemed like it was a hard matter for them. They of course knew the absolute beginning blood crystal and the dark energy crystal. They also knew how rare the crystals were. Judy and Han Tian had a few of them that they didn't dare to use. The absolute beginning blood crystal and the dark energy crystal had special effects on Zi Yaro. They could recover her power. Before Zi Yaro got hurt, she was at the peak of Territory Ancestor Realm. Just like Devour and Desolate, they were pretty close to the ultimate realm. However, after the tragic war in the Absolute Beginning era, Zi Yaro, Devour, and Desolate got wounded severely. They had to stay dormant to recover. If Shi Yang hadn't disturbed her and awakened her in the chaotic space basin, she would have needed dozens of thousands of years to accumulate her energy to the level she once had that year. The absolute beginning creatures needed a lot of time to absorb earth and heaven energy to recover. This process would have taken 10 to dozens of thousands of years. If the wounds were serious, it could take millions of years. Apparently, Zi Yaro couldn't wait for such a long period because Desolate was awakened. Also, Yuan Zhu was still alive. Devour was using the Devouring clan to recover himself. If the absolute beginning creatures wanted to recover quickly, they had a shortcut, which was to find the absolute beginning blood crystal and the dark energy crystal. Both the absolute beginning blood crystal and the dark energy crystal weren't made naturally. They were extremely rare and of course, very precious. The absolute beginning blood crystal was actually the blood crystallization. After the absolute beginning creatures died and shed blood, their blood accumulated. After so many years with earth and heaven energy supplement, the crystals would be slowly produced. The absolute beginning blood crystal was crystallized from absolute beginning creatures' blood and a large amount of energy. It could recover the wounded absolute beginning creatures fast and regrow their blood and flesh. The dark energy crystal was a strange crystal created from broken soul altars of warriors at the Territory Ancestor Realm. If their soul ponds weren't destroyed after a long time, it would crystallize. The dark energy crystal was used to advance the soul energy of the experts at Territory Ancestor Realm. The absolute beginning blood crystal improved the body and the dark energy crystal increased the soul energy. They were the precious and most effective treasures to help Zi Yaro recover quickly. Both of them weren't naturally made. They were really valuable to the 7 great clans. Han Tian and Judy had used an enormous amount force of the mysterious Sky Clan to search and accumulate a small amount. However, they didn't dare to use them. They wanted to use it for the new Territory Ancestors, the foundation of the mysterious Sky Clan's future. If Zi Yaro asked for something else, they would have agreed immediately. However, to the absolute beginning blood crystal and the dark energy crystal, they became hesitant. The original symbol, the absolute beginning blood crystal, and the dark energy crystal. The former could advance their power Upanishads and the latter could create more chances for their later generation. They had to weigh them hard to make a decision. I know the mysterious Sky Clan knows many vestiges of the absolute beginning era. Okay, tell me the locations. I'll go there to check myself, said Zi Yao. Battles happened almost everywhere in the absolute beginning era. Many creatures were killed. Perhaps, the absolute beginning blood crystal and the dark energy crystal were somewhere. After a long time, the battlefields had drifted to other corners of the universe. Zi Yao didn't know where to find them. Perhaps, only strong forces like the 7 great clans could know. No problem. We do know a lot of absolute beginning vestiges. Many of them have terrifying seals and barriers that we don't dare to intrude. We can show you the way, Judy said immediately. We will take you guys there to see. Not us. Only her. Shi Yang smiled. I have something more important to do. Pondering for a while, he said, there's a shortcut to refine an original symbol. If you can find enough strong creatures for me to kill and swallow its energy, I can use the abundant energy to refine an original symbol. For example, after Neptune, Keith, and Lebit were killed, I made a space original symbol. Han Tien and Judy were shaken. Neptune and the others were killed. You killed them. Neptune, Keith, and Oliver were the territory ancestors of the 7 clans. In each clan, they were extremely strong. As they disappeared mysteriously, the Soul Clan, the Ancient Monster Clan, the Black Demon Clan, and the Devouring Clan couldn't be safe. Previously, Han Tien and Judy were bewildered about this. They tried to guess where the others had gone. And now, Shi Yang just exposed the truth. They knew that the others were killed and became Shi Yang's new original symbol, another chance to help Shi Yang understand his power Upanishad better. How could they not be scared? Shi Yang smiled at Zi Yarrow as the others were looking at him with frightened eyes. As we've discussed, we'll part now. You go with Han Tien and Judy to find the absolute beginning blood crystal and the dark energy crystal. I am going to increase my power. Oh, right, I promised the Heavenly Eye clan that once I reach the territory ancestor realm, I will take a member of the Heavenly Eye clan as my disciple. I don't have enough time to do that. You help me with this. Let Xiao Lai and Jiao and I do it on behalf of me. He smiled and noted Zi Yarrow. While talking, he urged his space power Upanishad. The space power Upanishad appeared like a mirror with a brilliant door. It was the supernatural ability called shuttle. Swish, swish, swish. Billions of space light rays congregated in front of him and became a territory gateway. This gateway could lead to different territories, facilitating him to travel easily between big territories. From now on, in this infinite sea of stars, the sea domain of nihility and the major territories weren't a significant distance in his eyes. He could create space doors and move between territories easily. He could appear in every corner of the sea domain of nihility. As Han Tien and Judy were watching him, he smiled and walked through the door. Finally, he disappeared from the musing rain territory of the Heavenly Eye clan. He's not far from second sky of territory ancestor realm. The power and aura he has just shown aren't less than a normal second sky of territory ancestor realm. He watched Shi Yang disappear into the light gateway, his face terrified. His realm isn't lower than Bloodthirsty that year. Perhaps, he's even stronger than Bloodthirsty in some aspects. Bloodthirsty? Zi Yarrow sneered. He was a fierce warrior. It's just bad that he couldn't refine an absolute beginning body. He was just cannon fodder in the war between Devour and Desolate. Because of the soul restriction, he could never reach Shi Yang's height. She thought that Shi Yang today had already surpassed Bloodthirsty. Xiao Lai, Jiao and I, you two can choose a disciple each and teach them carefully, she asked faintly. The strange, cyan snake on Xiao Lai's of the Heavenly Craftsman clan and Jiao and I of the Secret Pattern tribe glowed. They bowed and showed their willingness. Judy contemplated for a while and then sent a soul message to the area outside the ravine. Outside the ravine, Tu Shi and Ya of the mysterious Sky Clan were startled. Ya had strange light in her eyes as she walked to Cornet. The higher authority agrees that your Heavenly Eye clan will become the closet race to the mysterious Sky Clan. You will replace the position of the Fiery Phoenix tribe. From now on, you can contact the mysterious Sky Clan directly. Here, it's your token. You can go to the mysterious Sky Clan's headquarters and visit the library to read the secret books about power Upanishads. You can also ask and learn from our elders. She handed him an ancient-style token. Cornet held the token and continuously thanked her. He was so excited that he shivered. Ivelines and Adams understood that Han Tien and Judy must have had some agreement with Shi Yang inside that ravine. Because of Shi Yang and Zi Yarrow, the The mysterious Sky Clan had upgraded the Heavenly Eye Clan's echelon. That small token meant that the Heavenly Eye Clan would become a core member of the mysterious Sky Clan. From now on, the members of the Heavenly Eye Clan could talk directly to the mysterious Sky Clan and visit them to learn strong power Upanishads of the mysterious Sky Clan. They could even ask the elders to teach them. Just a moment ago, all of these favors were unimaginable to them. The Heavenly Eye Clan would thrive with this foundation. In the next 10,000 years, the Heavenly Eye Clan would grow quickly and continuously. I am Xiao Lai. I'm searching for a disciple among the fellows of the Heavenly Eye Clan. On behalf of Shi Yang, I will teach that fellow to fulfill Shi Yang's promise to your clan. You can't cultivate my power Upanishad, but I have a great enough understanding of power Upanishads to teach you guys. I will choose one disciple too. I will teach you the essence of powers, said Jiao and I. They walked out of the ravine and stood in front of the mysterious Sky Clan and the Heavenly Eye Clan to find a suitable apprentice. Ivelines, Adams, and Moshe were thrilled. They kneeled down and bowed towards the ravine to show their gratitude to Shi Yang. Unfortunately, they didn't know that Shi Yang had left the ravine and disappeared from this territory. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.